Well, this week, everybody, we're just going to kick right into it. Welcome back to this week's episode of the JR the Handler Show with me, your old buddy, your old pal, JR the Handler. This week is very cool. I have been trying to get this to happen for months now. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way the world works. But today's guest is one of my best buddies on the road, my little sister. I used to call her Alyssa the Real Deal for real, but now she's taken on a whole new persona and name, and we'll just call her Alyssa the Real McCoy. Alyssa McCoy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm glad we could. It's funny, we see each other all of the time, multiple times a week, and it was hard to nail this down, so I'm glad we got to.
No kidding. We've talked about it probably, and even when we were doing Justin's, we'd talk about we should do it, but you're working all day during the day. When I have a little time off in the morning, then when it's my stuff, start doing stuff, and you guys take a little break, and later in the afternoon, and then when we're off the road, I mean, we both got families, dogs, alive, side hustles, everything else. So it is just, it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, and this time of year too, we're kind of coming to the tail end of it, but yeah, you're home for, 2.5 days at best most of the time through the summer. So you got to cram everything you got to get done into those 2.5 days and still like rest.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah. And then you think you could relax and like do something you want to do at some point, but that usually gets pushed way back to the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to do that this time of year.
Right.
When we start coming down.
That's why we all love planning stuff. We're all so excited. What are we doing when we get off? And we'll have all these plans and things we all want to do because we're like, we know that's the only time we're going to have to do it. Yeah, for sure. Well, for people who don't know, Alyssa and I are on the road together. She is our lead monitor engineer for Team Justin Moore, has been with us how many years now, Alyssa?
Well, back to the beginning, I think I started about halfway through 2018. And then had a year without you guys, and then back. This is the third year back, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds right. Time flies.
I know, it really does.
Well, yeah. So that would be 7.5, almost 8 years. You've been a part of Team JM in some capacity, even because when you weren't here, you still were, and we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But like I said, you're our lead monitor engineer. A lot of people, when somebody says they do monitor, some people may or may not know, and I want to go to the whole backstory. But just so we have a reference point for anybody out there that doesn't know what a monitor is or what running monitor is or having a monitor desk or being a monitor engineer is, and I'm sure you get asked this question when you tell people that's what you do for a living. How do you describe it? And then maybe I can, because even though I know what it is and I can kind of do it at a small level, it's such an art and a craft, and something that's so technical that there's no way I could explain it properly. So how do you explain it?
I always tell people, like when you go to a concert, there's two sound engineers usually. There's the guy that you see that's gated off in the audience that has all the equipment around him. That's your front of house engineer. And he does everything that the audience hears. So everything you, as someone going to a show, hears throughout the show, that is your front of house engineer mixing everything to sit with the room and the PA. A monitor engineer is on stage and is doing everything that every individual person on the stage is hearing. So it's different from what the audience is hearing. Justin hears something different than our drummer. Our drummer hears something different from guitar. Like everybody has something different. And then I always add, best case scenario is you never know the monitor engineer is ever there. Because if I'm on the stage during the show, something has gone terribly wrong.
Hey,
you
that's
hopefully
a good point.
never see me.
Good point. Yeah, if you're on stage, something's major wrong.
Yeah.
And for people who may or may not even understand what a monitor is, it's the playback. It's being able to hear yourself as each individual member. How do you explain that? How would you define like what a monitor is?
So, if you think about monitoring, so I'm listening in to what each individual band member hears and some of the text too. To make sure that they can hear what they need to hear. So
right.
Justin, I mean, they're busy, right? They're putting on a show. So the more I can kind of bounce through mixes and hear what it sounds like and identify like what this person needs or doesn't need based on the room, then the more they can focus on the show and putting on a good show and having fun and not having to worry about like what they can or can't hear. So for Justin, for instance, I mix him live. Like I'll duck into everybody's mix throughout the show and see if things are sitting okay. But for Justin, I'm mixing him live the whole time. So from the top of the show, like I'm moving faders around that are moving like live for him. So when there's a solo, then I'm boosting the solo and I'm bringing other things down, you know. So yeah, tuning in, listening in, monitoring what everybody hears.
Yeah, and what everybody hears is what they need to hear for the show. So
Yeah.
like the band, obviously, trying to put this as trying to so if I didn't know what little bit I do know, I could understand if I was just listening. Monitors are either it's the big speakers that are on stage pointing back at
Yeah, wedges, yep.
the wedges. We call those wedges, yes. They're big speakers on the front. That's all we used to have. A lot of old school people still use those. Some people use both. But the other, which is more commonly seen in today's music world, is the what they call the in-ear monitor. It is basically an earpiece, like a wired headpiece that goes behind and goes down to a pack. When you see a singer or a musician reach behind them doing something there, that's they're turning up or turning down their pack, their volume to this. Now, from that receiver on the back of their belt or dress or whatever you've got it on, or instrument, that's sending the sound. So there's no wire going from that instrument or microphone to the soundboard. So that's sending that signal there. On the instrument. So you're taking that and sending it back to them in their ears so they can hear it. If they have in-ears. If you have monitors, you're just having it loud enough where you can hear what you want to hear, how you want to hear it. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, ideally stage volume, which would mean like the volume of the actual speakers that the guitars and bass are playing through, you want to keep that down and then manage it through monitors so you don't have stage volume so loud where everyone can hear what everyone's doing. Because obviously way back in the day before you had electrified instruments, you just get in and play a little louder and everybody could hear each other. Well, now I don't care how hard a drummer hits the drums, he's not going to be as loud as a lead guitar player's guitar rig. It's just not going to happen. There's no
especially our lead guitars.
Yeah, I was going to say Roger, but then I thought about Terry and I thought about every other guitar player I've ever been in a band with. I said Adam Guthrie. I'm like, yeah, they all guitar players play loud. They say that's where it's got to almost crack to get the tone, and we've all been through the talk. But so in essence, monitors are for you to hear in on them, but it's you giving them what they want to hear during the show. So say like, well, take me for instance. That's a bad one because I don't get my own mix, but my mix is always great, whoever's I get. But sometimes I get different people's. Well, some persons might have more piano in it because they want to hear more piano, and then say, Dave, the bass player, wants to hear more kick drum because he and the drummer have to lock in for their stuff. And the drummer may want to hear more bass or more guitar. And Justin may want everything up, or this guitar is too loud. I need more of this guitar. And when you see a singer or somebody on stage, look to the side and point to their mouth and up or down. That usually means volume up or down. They'll point to who they're talking about and they'll say up or down or kill it or that kind of stuff. But the two types of monitors are wedges and in-ear monitors, and it's giving the sound to each member individually, or sometimes people share monitor wedges. That has happened, and mixes. But it's giving what you need to hear to do the show. So, like, I know us all, the crew, we all have in ours to talk to each other, but you have it turned off in there, so the band can't hear it, but we can all talk to each other. But when one of them talks to us, we can all hear everything.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up with monitors and having, especially the in-ear monitors, is there's isolation to that, right? So it's they're typically molded specifically to your ear, so they sit in there nice and flat, and they block out tons of sound. Like you can't have someone standing right next to you without you have to take an ear out to hear them, because that's like how much it isolates. But to what you're saying, it also allows for us to talk to each other, and not just us, the crew, but like the band. Like Justin can talk to the band, the drummer can do a count off, and no one hears that except for within our little like isolated system. So front of house, that doesn't go up to the audience. When the crew needs to talk, but we don't want the band to hear, if we're trying to work out a problem or whatever it is, the comm system goes to only us and not the band. I have buttons on my console program I can talk to only Roger if I need to. I can talk to only Tucker, and no one else will hear that. So it's also just kind of like a little like network of communication happening.
It really is.
Wedges, if I tried to talk to Justin through a wedge, like you're gonna hear that,
There, good point. Yeah, and also too, so like if it's so loud there and you don't have in-ears in, and even if the wedges are loud, you can't. There's no way to talk back to you. You have to scream across the stage, "Hey, can I get more Roger? Hey, can I get bass down?" Or whatever it is. There's no way to do that. But what we do is, and oh boy, do we do it, is go to what we call the talkback mic, or it has been termed the bitch mic. It has been known as that in its lifetime and lifespan. But basically, that's when you see the singer or the drummer or somebody go to a microphone, talk in it, and you're not hearing it through the PA system, which PA means public address. That's the big speakers pointing at the crowd. Which is what the band has the opposite of that. The monitors are basically their personal PA, their personal sound system. But when they go back and talk in those things, Justin could say, "Hey, hold on a sec. I want to set this song up. I got a story to tell." So he can tell the band and they'll wait. Or Tucker can say, "Hey, give me just a sec. Let me tighten this down." And then he'll kick it. "All right, y'all ready?" And then go into the song. Because we're not timestamp. It's all live. There's no pre-programmed anything in our show, and most country shows that way. Obviously probably to certain or not, some are not, but high level. But so that's the way you can help yourself without having to scream, "Hey, wait, give me a sec." You can talk to each other that way. Also, same like you're saying. So we get in a situation, which happens from time to time, where we're going to go over the curfew, or there's weather in the area or something, and I need, or you guys or myself, even me, I can go find one of you. I can find you or Paul Hart, our stage manager, guitar tech. I can find one of you guys and get a microphone or a phone, and I can say, "Hey, JR, hey, just talk to the promoter. Storm's rolling in. He said, we should wrap on up. It's not safe." Or, "Hey, I just talked to them. They said they don't care. Keep playing." Or or whatever the situation may be. "Hey, Just, your parents are here. I'm about to bring them on stage." Whatever the deal may be.
Yeah, exactly.
I can say that to him, and all they'll do is glance over, nod or something, and we know they got it. And no, it doesn't stop them. It doesn't interfere with the show. I could see how it probably does. If you're a young artist, you've never had that before. I bet it takes some adjustment when somebody else is talking to you. But we also know when not to mess with them.
I was going to say, too, that comes with experience from crew, as well as like picking your moment to say something. And you need to be quick and direct, get the point across, because it might be you just have a second in between songs, but you need to relay some important information,
Absolutely. And and sometimes that's the only option you have. There's no way to get their attention. You don't want to slow down the show. You don't want to hold up any of the progress. So being able to use the talkbacks, and it works for everybody. They Justin can go on the talkback mic and say, "Hey, JR, there's a little kid right second row in front of Roger's got a hat. Will you go grab it? I'll sign it." So it really works well for that. So now that we've kind of laid out what the two different types of monitors are, and now there is the rare case where some people, usually on club, smaller levels, acoustic shows, smaller things, where they don't even use any monitors at all. Acoustic settings, things like that. You're just playing through the mains. You've gotten used to it. The room, you can hear. When it gets so loud, when you've got a lot of stuff going on, that's impossible. Yeah. So is there a difference in mixing the two as far as, I guess, obviously preference is going to be in-ears because it's all much more controllable. But is there do you notice a big difference in either the way you have to mix those, which obviously I'm sure there's a difference there because when we do acoustic shows, a lot of times we do wedges. Or do you also notice that it's certain style artists and people you see come along like to use wedges over in-ears?
Yeah, it's definitely, there are some people really prefer one or the other. When you're mixing for wedges, it's just a mono send, so down the middle, really. Um, Basically, you turn it up. You turn it up. You can EQ to try to carve some space out for other things. I personally am not. I like in-ears because yeah, you're always fighting stage volume, and you're always those wedges. Like we do acoustic gigs, so many times you get um, lower market wedges, I guess I should say,
Yeah.
and they're cheap and they don't sound good, and more importantly, they don't get loud enough. And that that's a hard thing to work around because gain before feedback, like you need to get things as loud as you can without it feeding back and making all those terrible sounds everybody hates. So personally, I like the in-ear monitor system because it's a stereo system, so I can make all the room I need to make. Like you take your front man, so Justin, front stage center, right? He's got our guitar player Stefan on his left and our guitar player Roger on his right, and I can pan those, so that's where he actually hears it. It's over here, Roger's over here, so they're not sitting on top of each other, and that helps. That helps dramatically.
Oh, I could see. I never even thought about that. Yeah, but that's huge for that.
So you can make room. You can hear things separately.
That's a new one even to me. I never even thought about that panning
Yeah.
stereo left to right with instruments. I mean, I guess I have at some point in my life, but I'm just now realizing, yeah, that's huge to be able to do that.
Yeah, it helps a lot. But yeah, there are people who prefer wedges. Obviously, you're just going to get the most natural sound of the room that you're going to get, and like the audience, and because you are isolated with your, like I was saying, it's molded to your ear, so it blocks out everything. And you can combat that with crowd mics or audience mics, we call them, and that kind of brings the room sound in, and you can hear the audience.
And that for everybody listening, what are those? What are audience mics?
So those are they're microphones that go on the left and the right downstage edge, and they're pointed to you, the audience, and so that's so we can hear the room. It sounds more natural. It doesn't sound so like isolated, and crowd reaction, crowd sing-alongs and stuff like that can all be heard. So that's how you would kind of combat that isolation. With wedges, some people just like to have the room and just the room, and that works. And some engineers like to just push the fader up, and that's easier for some people. I think I end up fighting harder with it than if I can just put things where they want to go, but some people like to just you can just turn it up, and for some artists that's all you need and you're good.
Yeah, and I've always noticed a lot of times, especially when once you're at the level when you can afford to have in-ears, if you wanted in-ears, it seems like a lot of the old school rockers still like wedges, like a Hank Jr. Still has his wedges. Yep. Just a lot of the old school guys and gals. I think it's partly for that live sound, and it's just what they get used to. Yeah, I think that's what they always, just got used to and didn't want to change. Funny thinking about that. Sometimes you just trust what you trust what you know too. Might have had a bad experience with an ear once or twice. I always used to hear that about Buddy Guy, the great blues rock guitar player, legend. That Buddy Guy for I don't know if he ever did. I'm sure he eventually did, but just did not trust wireless packs for his guitar. So even once everybody else was using wireless, he would have a guy, and there's a film of it. He'd have a guy follow him around with a 200-foot cable and let some out and bring some in, and he would just make his way around the crowd wherever he was playing because he didn't trust the wireless. So I could see that, but I tell you this from a backstage angle. When you're at a concert and everyone's in in-ears and you walk and you want to watch from the side of the stage or behind the stage, you can't hear anything. It's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
drums and guitars loud clanging because you can't, there's no vocals, there's no singing coming out of
You're
any
behind
speakers
the
anywhere.
PA.
You're
Yeah.
behind the speaker, so you can hear it a little bit out there, but all you're gonna hear is drums and guitar, bang, bang, and
Yeah,
drums.
I always tell people when they like guests that come up for my show, like you're more than welcome to hang out in Monitor World, but it's the worst sounding spot in the house. Like,
Absolutely, I tell everybody go to front of house if you want to hear,
uh-huh.
and even in some monitor worlds and even like for guitar world, which is usually on the opposite side of the stage, typically for us you're stage left and Paul is house right, which stage left means if I'm on stage looking at the audience to the left, and stage right is if I'm on the audience and that's to the right. So house left and right would be if you're sitting in the house, if you're an audience member and you're sitting in your chair watching the band, that's house position. So house right and house left is you looking at the stage and it's to your right or your left. So Alyssa is usually house right and Paul is stage or house left,
Right. Yep.
typically. And a lot of times in those positions, they will have their own small wedge or like a monitor for people in those areas or themselves, because some don't, may wear one ear and have a different one to do different things. We don't do that. So yeah, if you're in our worlds, if you're in either side stage in our show, you can kind of hear Justin singing, but you just go hear a lot of guitar and a lot of drums, basically.
Yeah.
Because I mean, because they've drowned out the piano usually on stage, so you don't get a lot of that, and the bass
Yeah,
rig.
you're really not gonna hear the piano really at all. Like he has a wedge out there, but there's not a lot in it, and it's facing him. So otherwise,
when
piano
I have
just
to,
comes down the lines to us.
yeah. When I go out there, it's the few times I have to go out there to do something, give Garrett something, or do something around him. I'm like, oh, I can hear the piano better now. And I'm always like, because I hear it during his solos when when everybody lays out and they fade him up during the show. But a lot of times it just bleeds because ours is pretty southern rock based band configuration, so it's a lot of heavy guitars, a lot of piano, but it just gets. On stage, it gets buried, and then it's just whatever monitors or ears I have. It's not that loud, but yeah. So if I tell people that all the time, people I want to go side stage. Can I come backstage? I'm like, you're really gonna be disappointed. One, like we just said, you're not gonna be able to hear anything. Two, we don't do not us nor the venue does anything to make anything backstage pretty or comfortable or accommodating or really even that safe unless you know what you're doing already, because there's
that's
just
true for a lot of places. Yeah.
wires
Yeah.
and cables and boxes and cases and crap everywhere, and
And it's dark and
it's
everything's
dark.
black.
Yes. Yes. So, and then like we have small, there's a few angles where you can see the stage, but then you can't hear. So you're just basically, if you want to watch somebody play their instrument up close or do some crowd watching, that's about all it's good for, really. I tell everybody backstage at a concert's like backstage at a rodeo. Watch where you step. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like you said, and I had that incident in Charlotte when I first started with Justin. Played an outdoor show. Everything was fine. Could see fine. Everything. All right. Sun went down. It's an outdoor show on a pop-up show, not as temporary stage. Something they don't normally do. Terrible lighting, couldn't see anything, fell off the back of the stage, almost got impaled. I mean, it was brutal, but I could see that day, but that night when all the lights were out, I couldn't see. So same at ours, and when you're milling around before doors, when all the lights are up, it's easy to see everything. But them lights go off, buddy, it gets dark, and that's why I carry a flashlight and a backup flashlight.
Yeah, backup flashlight too. That's a good idea. That's a good call.
Hey, and shout out to my tour manager, B&A Tour Manager Alliance group. There's these little square, and I may have showed you guys on the road, these little square backup flashlights that are amazing. They have a clip. They're magnetic. They have two settings on the side. They're rechargeable.
One maybe. I think
He
Paul
probably
uses one a lot.
I think he may have ordered one. Yeah, and they're just compared to any of the other ones I've ever tried. They're metal. They're heavy duty. I think they're $30 or $40 maybe, but they're the real deal. No pun intended. They're the real deal for a backup because it clips and it's magnetic. Two settings, and it's got you hold it down for 2 seconds, and it goes in a dim mode. So if you don't need a bright light, you just need a little light in your backstage. So anyway, it's they're amazing. I'll try to post that link on here. Maybe they'll throw me a bone for hooking them up if anybody orders one. But
idea.
either way, they're amazing little backup flashlights for my big one because you never know. I mean, that's the. And
Flat
a lot of
sound.
times,
Never know.
yeah, and a flashlight's a funny thing, and I guess some have had these over the years, but most flashlights, I don't think I have any that have this feature. Don't tell you when they're about to go out.
Yeah.
They don't blink or have a flash or a buzzer or anything or a meter to read how much juice they got. You just got to hope it's got enough power. And if you thought you plugged it in and the block came out of the wall and it didn't charge up,
yeah, that's true.
getting a
Especially
bind quick.
your guiding Justin around, who oftentimes doesn't see any of it during the daylight, so he doesn't know where things are laid out. So yeah, if your flashlight is dead.
Yeah, ultimately important. He doesn't face bust on the way to the stage. That's big. And, and just for all of us back there moving around, and he's not really looking where he's walking half the time because he knows we've just done this routine so many times. He just follows me along and I point and he goes wherever. He's great about that. He don't ever give any static about that. But yeah, and going through the thing back and forth several times a night. I mean, you're burning a lot of power off your flashlight. But yeah, so that's a brief, I guess. It taught me a few new things I didn't know, but that's a good way of laying out monitors. So that's your chosen profession as an adult now, is being a lead monitor engineer for a country rock band. Did you ever think that would be where you'd be in life at this point, Alyssa?
No, for a lot of reasons. Like for one, I think, I'm from a town in Iowa of like 1,100 people. My high school was like 200 people. Very, very small area. This kind of industry doesn't exist anywhere close to where I'm from. So that reason for starters. But then, I'm already here, so I guess I might as well say it. Country isn't my background.
Yeah.
Choice of genre.
Right. Yeah.
So for that reason, and then also, I would go out on a limb and say for most audio engineers, the goal is the front of house engineer. Like you want to be that person that has this huge PA at their disposal, and it's you really get to like showcase and I don't know, I guess I always thought like that guy is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody like dreams of being the monitor engineer. It's definitely the none of the glory, all of the blame kind of situation.
Yeah.
I think I had a buddy. It was a bunch of roadies hanging out one night, and he's monitor engineer, and we were talking about all the stresses that we'd had and things that had gotten wrong, and we were like, oh, but at the end of the day, we love it. Like, why do we do this? Because we love it. Why? And he's like, I don't know. I think it's like Stockholm syndrome. We've just kind of learned to love it.
Kind of, sort of.
But, yeah, it's all joking aside. Monitors is just kind of where things started moving for me. So when I was put out on my very first tour out on the road, somebody needed a monitor engineer, and they needed one tomorrow in Texas for 3 days, So went out there and did monitors best I knew how at that time. And then my first, like full-time road gig was really with you guys, and that was you needed a monitor tech. So I was in monitor world, and then all the connections you're starting to make are other people in monitor world, other shows and stuff. So when you get called for fill-ins and stuff, it's people calling you to do monitors. So it kind of just that's kind of just how it rolls.
Yeah.
For
right.
most of us.
And even with the genre too, once you're in that genre, people think that's what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, and I'm like, well, no, I know all the genres. I like all music. Yeah. Don't let the hat fool you. I know a lot about every kind of music. Coming from another thankless job as TMs, and both of our roles may be one that I talk about regularly on this podcast, that when you go to a concert and you're a fan, you're a kid, whatever, and you don't know anything about the music business, you just think there's the people on stage and then like the monitor or the front of house guy. That's the people, and you think, well, maybe they got a helper back there. That's the only people you really even think that are there. They don't realize there's 20 other people working or 50 other people working, or 5 or whatever. But it's another ones, like, because the tour managers I've had on this show, you're their first monitor engineer on the show, by the way.
Cool.
That's why I waited. I wanted you to come on as first one. But we all say, no one grows up thinking I want to grow up and be a tour manager. That's just not you don't even know you don't know it exists,
Right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you think a manager, maybe you think, well, surely they got a manager somewhere, a big shot manager, and that was kind of the thing too. And then kind of like you, I figured I would be a manager by now, but I got good at being on the road as a tour manager, and then it's like you try to get out, they just sucks you back in, kind of deal. It's almost like a lot of these jobs you get in, and it's like, well, it's hard to really do anything else. You don't have you've been doing this for X amount of time, and the skills don't necessarily, or on paper you wouldn't think they'd translate to other things. But like I said during the pandemic, they don't want the touring industry to shut down, because if they release all of us on the workforce, a lot of people are going to be out of jobs, because I guarantee you and the rest of our crew, and even me, most things we could have never done it in our lives. Give it to us and say, in 2 days, this is our new job. And by 2 days, we will have it figured out. We'll do a pretty good job. We'll do as good as whoever was doing it, or it won't take that long. It's just, I believe that.
A daily basis almost is, how many times have we shown up at a place and they're like, yeah, we've never done a show here before. It's like, okay, well, we're putting on a full production show, so I guess we'll figure it out. We always do.
We always do. Yeah, there's no margin for error. Everything has to happen every time. It always gets done, and it always gets done.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm joking around about being a monitor engineer. It's home now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't want to do another role. And I think, pretty much every career monitor engineer, like that's home base. That's what we like. A lot of us, for some sick reason, seem to thrive on stress. So
and handle it so well too. You don't seem that stressed normally, and I know you are sometimes, because you'll come up and smile. Hey, tell Justin, so and so about his monitor. Was he okay with that? And you'll be nice about it. I'm like, I know inside you're just like doing triple backflips, pulling your hair out, but I'm like, you're usually you seem calm, very calm. Kind of like who you replaced in our outfit, which we'll get to that in a sec. Well, let's go back to Iowa. Let's do a quick jump up through time to make sure we get to where we're at now. So, you grow up in Iowa. One brother, correct?
Yep, younger
one brother. Great parents. Love Todd and Cindy. Good people. Shout out. Reels up from Iowa. Good people. Brother, what's up, buddy? But so you grow up there. So is music in the background? I mean, is your parents listening to music a lot? Does anybody play music? Do you and your brother listen to a lot of music growing up?
No, none of that really.
Really?
So my family is very close, aunts, uncles, cousins, and all. So this is I don't know, probably the dumbest reason anybody ever got into a career, but
I love it. No.
They're
all
close with
all of
everybody.
everyone that's ever been on this podcast has a ridiculous way to get into doing their jobs.
I guess that's probably very true.
Yeah.
So I have some older cousins. They're like 7 years older than me. We're really close growing up, but there's a 7-year age gap. So at some point, they're 14 and I'm 7. I'm 8 and they're 15. It's like really, they don't really want to hang out with me anymore. So it became I really wanted my older cousins to think I was cool again, so that they'd want to hang out with me, And so everything that they were into, I was into. And one year it was they were really into music. I was like, me too. I am so into music. I'm so into music that when I grow up, I want to be a sound engineer. And I'm like 10, and I don't even know. I couldn't tell you where I even picked up the title sound engineer, but that's what I decided when I was 10. And then at the end of my high school career, there was a community college that had radio broadcasting, and it was like 20 minutes down the road, and I could take classes while I was a senior. So I was like, okay, broadcasting, like, let's check that out. So
So leading up to that, from 10 to graduation, are you still thinking I'm going to be a monitor engineer, or I'm going to
oh
be an
no,
audio engineer? No,
sound, audio,
sound.
audio
Yeah,
is what I was thinking. But
right. Sound.
yeah, I doubt I know what a monitor engineer is yet
At this
at
point,
that
right?
time.
But through high school, you were thinking, when I'm done, I'm going to get into sound. I'm going to work in a band. I'm going to do sound.
I'm gonna do sound for sure. So radio was on the radar because it was available to me, and I had an in, and I worked for a country radio station. So it even started with country
You
for
worked for
me.
a country radio station?
Yeah, I did. I was just an intern for a country station at home, and I'd go do like the live broadcasts and stuff. And there's the Newton Speedway, is called. Not too far from where I'm from, that would do concerts and stuff. So we would, we'd do the MC thing and throw T-shirts and be live talking to race car drivers, whatever.
Who
So
were there any national acts that came to any of those events? Do you remember any acts coming through when you were doing that?
I specifically remember one. It was Easton Corbin, and there's
Really?
a picture of me and him. I'm like 19 or something, with my like radio T-shirt on, and I
Wow.
remember them very well because the race, it was raining that day, so the race kept getting delayed, so the show kept getting delayed, and so they were all hanging out backstage, and we were back there kind of waiting to do our thing too. And the whole band was, and it wasn't the people that I met later at that time. Well, some of them I guess would have been, but I didn't meet them. Anyway, they're all hanging out back there, having a good time. Asking if we want to play cards. And the steel player, I said I didn't know what a steel guitar was, or I guess I'd never seen one. I knew what it was. So he took me up on stage and was like showing me how to play it and everything, like super friendly. And then, yeah, as I'm sure we'll get to later, then later
Yeah.
on ended up working for Easton, as
Yes.
his monitor engineer.
Which is
But
so crazy. Yeah, I never knew that tie-in. That's amazing.
yeah, I had to dig, but I did find the photo of me and him and like the radio crew. So yeah,
I
just
love.
funny how that circles back. But
Yes.
um, so yeah, went to school, did the broadcast thing, and
So you're doing the intern stuff. That's after high school.
yeah, maybe that summer after, and maybe even a little during. I can't exactly remember when. I was with them for like 2 years or something like that.
Gotcha. And so you go
Um,
from there, from high school, and right when you're getting out of high school ish, you're interning at the local country station. Was country dominant genre around where you grew up, or was there big rock stations, R&B, any of that stuff?
Locally, so, and by locally I mean like 20 minutes from where I lived, it was country, and beyond that, I think the
What's the closest
closest,
big town to where you grew up?
uh, Marshalltown, I would say, Marshall, Iowa, but that's probably not big enough. So Waterloo is like an hour. Des Moines is about an hour and a half. It's
Okay.
my dad says if you threw a dart at a map of Iowa, you can't get any more central than where we're from, like
Dead
dead center
center
of
of the
Iowa.
state.
So it was, yeah, just locally, it was just the country station. So I must have been through the college that I think they were doing some stuff with the college, like helping teach and like bringing kids in to like kind of see how everything worked. I think that must be how I got connected with them to actually go like do some work with them.
So you're at junior college now in broadcast school,
hmm hmm
and you're
So
learning audio stuff.
yeah, that for as much as they had there to offer,
Right.
which wasn't a lot at that time, but kind of got to the end of that, and it's like, okay, broadcasting, this is cool, this isn't it. So I'd always kind of had studio in the back of my mind, like, all right, we can do more. So then went up to Minneapolis to go to school for um, audio engineering, and it was a big, beautiful studio, and got into that program and learned a lot, but kind
Did you
of
meet Prince while you were in Minneapolis?
I did not. No,
Dang.
I knew a guy that worked at one of his studios though, and I think I said something to him one time like, "Oh, you're going to Prince's studio today?" And I'm not a fan, but my mom's a big fan, so I'm almost like, I wonder if I could just like get him to take a picture for me or something. And before I can say anything, this guy was like, "I know what you're thinking. I would never bring you with me though, because he is so unpleasant to be around.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
interesting. Thanks for the
So
heads up. Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of people may not know that Prince is the king of Minneapolis. He had his
big
studios
time,
there, his big
big time.
warehouse. Yeah, he was big in
Hmm.
Minneapolis. I'm sure while you were there,
Yeah.
you got the full grasp. And I'm a huge Prince fan, and
Hmm.
most everybody. Prince was huge, man. He was a
Hmm.
rocker. He was different. He was special. He was one of the chosen ones. And Haiti had that was the outlook somebody that worked for him had, was he's unpleasant to be around. But hell, you never know.
You
Um,
never know what the situation was. That was just his answer for
yeah,
me that day. It was like,
right.
you don't want to, trust me.
Right. And sometimes when you get to certain levels, like I always say about Hank Jr., I mean, he's my all time favorite, but like, I ain't hanging out with Hank. He's just different. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Same probably like that. But yeah, a lot of people may not know that. You probably think Prince is California, New York, or something. No, he's king of
Yep,
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Yep.
Yep. So you're working there at a big studio at a different school, and now you're really learning live audio.
Not live yet.
Nope,
So
studio stuff.
at that time, it was, I didn't know about schools down here like Belmont or MTSU, but anywhere remotely close to where I was from, it was only studio was really offered. So that's kind of where I started, and I got into studio a little bit, and it was like, okay, this is cool. This isn't it. So then I really set my sights on live sound, which like my cousins that I was hoping to, get them to think I was so cool. Well, they are some of my best friends today, and they have been ever since I, grew up a little bit with them.
Right.
But we would go to 2 concerts a month, like we went to shows all of the time. And then it just kind of clicked for me. I'm like, this is where it's at. Like this is where my passion is. This is what I want to do. So graduated up there. There wasn't a whole lot. Like I said, I did what I could up there for live sound, but there just wasn't a whole lot that I was able to get into. Um, Moved down to Nashville and got a job right away on Broadway because I'd been down there visiting a couple times. Well, down here, um, network, like talk to everybody who would talk to me. So when I came down, I had someone willing to hire me on Broadway. Well, I didn't have a whole lot of live sound experience at this time, so got um I got to watch my roadie mouth here. Got my butt kicked pretty
Yeah.
hard down
No,
on
it's all
Broadway.
ages show. It's all ages show. As long as we don't get too crazy with it. And that's wild to think that, straight to, I mean, and Broadway if is kind of like the stepping stone to get to be a big star, but below Broadway is all these regional, just really, where you really learn how to do the small stuff on the way up. So your first one's not, you don't even get to learn at the local Mexican restaurant, setting up an acoustic person. You're going to Lower
No.
Broad
Yep.
and
Full band,
full
like,
band, packed house, middle of the day, probably loud, dark,
yeah, yeah, like
and nobody's
extremely
patient. No
difficult.
patience is gone with
Mm-mm,
everyone there.
no.
And what
Yeah,
year would this
so
have been?
that would have been right at the end of 2016, like
Okay.
November 2016, something like that. Um, so yeah, it was truly like set on fire, fed to the wolves, tossed into the
Did you
deep
go to
end.
any
Like,
school in Nashville? Did you go to Belmont or MTSU when you
mm-mm.
came? You'd already finished school by then.
Yeah, yeah, no, I really just got down here and
Went to work.
learned the really, really hard way.
Yeah. Well, it's
It
good
was,
though. That's really good. I mean, it really is going to serve you. That's why I know
it
this to be
did,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be one of the biggest and brightest stars on that side, in this side of the world's ever had. And I think that stuff's invaluable to learn on the way up. It's almost an injustice if you go straight to, say, the big leagues and you're on a bus and you got all this stuff and all this help, because you really need to learn how to do all this stuff all the way up properly. I mean, it's like playing
Yeah.
baseball. I mean, you probably need to learn the fundamentals on the way up through little leagues and t-ball to get to
Hmm.
be a great baseball star. You probably, you know what I'm saying? You can't just
Yeah.
practice baseball by yourself and watch videos and then at 20 go get in the pros. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it was tough, and I look back and I'm like, I don't even know how I stayed in this industry because it was, yeah, it was very tough, a very hard way to learn, but learn very
And no
quickly.
money when you start, no money for
Yeah,
anything.
exactly, exactly. So learned very quickly, at least, and then kind of got off of Broadway and started doing sound at more easier going clubs in town, like I filled in a lot at the blues bar downtown. The what's it called? Blues Street. What is that called? Dang.
Not Bourbon Street Blues Bar.
Bourbon Street. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, the Legend
yeah.
Printers Alley, Bourbon Street. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yeah.
10
So
years before that, I was a handful up in that joint, Roman Printers Alley in the aughts, buddy. Woo!
that's where I always tell people to go. Like, get off Broadway, go to Printers Alley.
Get a Frito pie and go to Printers Alley, man. Oh my God, it was so great back in the day. I'm sure it was still awesome when you were there.
I liked running down there a lot. It
Bourbon
was
Street,
just,
great old
late.
school Nashville vibe. That's felt like what Nashville was when I got there and what you thought Nashville should be. Those kind of showroom type places like that. Great place to learn. I never knew that either.
Yeah, and that's it was very fun for me. Again, I never had like a country background. I would always like rock, blues, like classic rock, and that's what you got there. It was very
Yes.
bluesy, so it was really fun for me to kind of break it up and get to work with other genres and stuff. And you never knew who was going to be on that stage either. Like they had acts from everybody. Like worked with guys who toured with Fleetwood Mac and the Monkees and Bob Seger, and like you had no idea who's on that stage.
I can remember there'd be guys that were like signed to Alligator Records, these legendary blues guys in there, and then it'd be some horn player that's the Grammy nominated horn player, or a Cajun rock band, and that bar was originally opened by the great Boots Randolph, horn sax player that played on all kinds of stuff in the 70s and 80s, but that's Boots Randolph's Bourbon Street Blues Bar originally. Yeah. Golly, any of those award shows, any of that stuff, Boots Randolph, that's who's playing sax on most of that, but that's who started
cool.
that. Yeah. So you're there, so that gets you off Broadway. Now you're at a real club in town, and doing some other places too. Yeah.
So that was one. The Sutler was one I went to a lot. There's a couple other ones. And then Tennessee Brew Works was a kind of a main place that kind of turned into my like full time as a local gig like that can be,
Yep.
And that was a much easier going space to the pace, I guess, the crowd, the pace, the bands, the artists, like it was just a little easier going, so I could like really figure things out and not just like get through it as fast as you possibly can, because there's people screaming at you from every direction.
Well, and there's no turn. I mean, there's no. It's not like a proper sound check. Go through everything, empty house, all that. It's turn and burn on the fly. One band's getting done, and they want that next band up before everybody starts leaving, hitting the door. They want,
and
they want everybody.
And it's just you. Like,
yes,
there's no one to help me. It's just me. Like.
That's kind of like what we have at the Floribama is a similar situation. We have multiple stages,
it'd be a lot like that.
And it's the same thing. It's turn and burn. I mean, one band in, so like Mike Diamond plays from 2 to 6. Dalton Bush is going on 6 to 10, and there's no 30-minute changeover in a normal concert like we do. Say this past week, Chad Miller played some shows with us, which we're going to do some show. He's going to play with us in Waco. Shout out Chad Miller and his band, good guys, Texas, Amarillo guys. They play, and Austin Michael, the great young Austin Michael, another Texan who's been playing shows with us. But they'll do their set, and then there's 30 minutes from the end, from the time they get done, or 15 if they're just acoustic, or usually 30 minutes if it's a full band. So you got 30 minutes for them to get their stuff off and get the next band on and set up ready to go. These gigs like we're talking about at Broadway or at the Floribama, one ends at 6, one starts at 6. So there is no 30-minute changeover time. So that's a lot, especially with no help, and it's a tight situation. It's the middle of the day, but they got all the lights off.
All these clubs in town, everybody wants to have live sound. Nobody wants to actually set up for live sound. So I always call it, actually, it's really just a term, combat audio, where you're not really mixing, you're just fighting, like, to make a mix happen.
Yeah, get something coming out that's legible.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they'll put the sound booth over in the corner behind the bar where you can't even see the stage, or
concrete floors and a glass wall behind them, and
we want the speakers here. Well, they won't sound good there. Yeah, but that's where they look good. It's like, well,
exactly, yeah. So yeah, good old combat audio. So I did that for, I don't know, like a year and a half maybe. and was getting a lot of work in town, working at a lot of places, and I didn't dislike it, but it was just it became again like, okay, this is cool, this isn't it. And then this one night I'm working at Brewworks, and I happened to be wearing a high school T-shirt, which my school was 5 towns put together, so it was called BCLUW. That's 5 different towns, you know. And so I have a BCLUW T-shirt on. Again, I'm dead center of Iowa, 1,100 people, you know, teeny tiny. And I went back behind the bar to get some water or something, and this guy goes, "Your shirt does not say BCLUW." And I didn't even look at him. I'm like, you don't know what BCLUW is. Like, I thought he was just trying. I thought he thought I was a bartender. He's trying to get my
Right.
attention. You know, like you don't know what that is. And I start walking away, and he goes, "I'm from Eldora." And now you've got my attention. Eldora is like 15 minutes from where I grew up. Like we played each other in school and stuff.
Right. And you wouldn't just know that unless you were from there.
No, absolutely. So now I stop. Now he's got my attention, and we get to chit chatting, and turns out he's a monitor engineer, and it turns out to be Darius Rucker's monitor engineer, Joel Stickrod, who that's how we met, and he's a good friend of mine to this day. He's doing front of house now, actually, for Darius.
And funny
But
to tie in there that Justin and Darius are tight, and some of the first shows he
know.
ever did was out opening for Darius, and
Yep.
he was on the same tours.
This industry's tiny. Like
It really
it's
is.
a small world, and the industry's smaller. But so he gets to be a pretty good friend of mine, and now he's kind of my first connection to the next step. So I'm hanging out with him one night, and I'm like, I feel like I've gotten all I wanted to get out of town. What now? What do I do? And he's like, well, you need to go get on with the shop. So a shop is like where you like our tour. They buy a bunch of gear. We rent the gear out. That's what a shop does. And usually have people, techs in that shop that are fixing the gear, cleaning the gear, getting rigs ready to send out. So, like our company and Darius's company is Special Event Services, SES. So, Joel tells me,
And there are
go over there.
multiple big companies that have
Yes,
shops like
yeah.
that, and there are shops that are just for lighting,
Yeah.
for different sub things throughout production, video, rehearsal spaces, all that stuff. They're different for different things. But SES, like you mentioned, is who provides our audio and lights and things like that. So we rent that. The truck is leased through them. The semi tractor trailer, it goes to the shop where you guys have everything ready. They send it out.
Yep. So he tells me to go talk to them. And I did, and they hired me on as a shop tech. And that's kind of where I started, because I'd been, walking up on systems that are already in place. I hadn't put anything together yet. So that's where I kind of start to get to learn the ins and outs and how touring, traveling rigs go together and why you build things the way you build them. And that's also where I met Jeff Oliver, our front of house production manager. I think you had on maybe a couple months ago or something.
Yes. Yep.
So I'd worked with Jeff in the shop. He'd bring his rig in and was going to do this, that, or the other, add something, take something out, and I'd always help him. So I got to know him a little bit, and then one day I got a text from him, and he says, "Hey, it's a shop today." I said, "Yep, I'm here." He goes, "Okay, I'm going to be there in like 20 minutes." Cool. So he shows up, and he comes and finds me, and he's like, "Hey, we're having some personnel moving around a little bit, and we're going to need some help. Do you want to come out on the road with us as an audio tech?" And now I'm like blown away. This is now we're on tour. This is what we're talking about. This is what it's all been about,
Yep.
I was thrilled, like could not wait to start. And then
I'm about to tear up thinking about
really
it. In all honesty, I'm about to tear up thinking about it. It's so amazing. I love that so
many
much.
little things.
Oh, I love it so much.
Meeting Stickrod at the bar, and him sending me to SES, and yeah. So yeah,
And
that's
Jeff
how I got up
spotting
there.
talent. We do a great job of that not me necessarily, but the rest. We've always and I love everybody that's ever worked in our organization, but we always just fill in with just other top-notch people, and we
It's
never
always
go
been a
down.
good crew.
Yeah,
A
we
good
never
team
go
in
down.
general. So yeah, came out there. Then that's really where things opened up for me, because I had Jeff, and then the previous monitor engineer, Zach McCoy. And these are two of the smartest people I've ever known in my life. And now I have them to ask any question I could ever come up with, to watch. Like I watch them, everything they did. I must have asked Zach a million questions a day. Like, why do you do this? Why do you not do that? Like, what do you know, if he's over working on something, like, what are you looking for? You know, like really just tried to absorb everything I could from those two. And
And
that's
what too
really
great
where,
to be learning from too. They're not
yeah,
old
exactly.
grumpy, don't want to share. They're cool,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
oh, perfect placement there on that.
So it was a perfect situation for me. And then learning our consoles. So we have a Avid SXL, which is a beautiful, fantastic board that can soundboard. I'm talking about that can do, I think, anything you wanted to do, really, um, which is very cool, very exciting. And when we had consoles in the shop, you know, people, we might tip them and they'd be like, "All right, play, do whatever you want." And it's like, okay, it can do anything. Where do I start? I always compare it to like an open world game. Like
Yeah,
there's so many avenues you could go down. Like I don't even know, I don't know how to start with this. And Zach would really help me out with that. Where um, I'm much of a hands-on learner and like a big picture learner. So it's not just, you know, set this up to do this. It's like, well, if I don't know why I'm doing that, then that's a little harder. But if,
right.
you know, so he would give me, I always called it homework. Like after sound check, he would be like, he'd create some imaginary scenario. I'd be like, okay, so pretend that we had this crew member come on and they need a mix that's like this, but you need to be able to do that. So he'd give me very like um, point by point. Um, what am I trying to say? Closing off the open world. He's a direction. He would give me a direction to go in, and so that he would leave, and then I would set it up the best I knew how. So I'm hands-on learning, and then there's a safety net, you know, and I have him to come look and see what I did, and be like, yeah, that works. You also could have done it like this, you know. So that was of everything up until that point, all the different ways of learning. That was by far what did the most for me.
Right. So of all the school training, it kind of gave you the basics of the terminology, what is what, but the in-person live action, being
This is the
able to
situation, like,
situational,
mm-hmm,
you know, real life situation is where you really figure it out. So this
mm-hmm,
point you come on and you are a monitor tech, which is
mm-hmm,
basically an assistant to the lead monitor engineer.
mm-hmm.
Which now you're the lead monitor engineer, and you have Carter as a monitor tech to assist you with stuff. And you, so at this point, this is your first gig out. This is the end of 18 or so, you say? 2018?
Middle of 18.
Middle of
I'd
18?
done monitors, but it was with a band, Mo Pitney. They're
Yeah, love Mo.
wonderful, wonderful people. And
Yes.
he just doesn't tour a lot. They all have families, you know, so it just
Yes.
wasn't a full-time job. But
Yes. You want to hear some traditional
yeah,
country music? Listen to Mo Pitney. He plays
he's so
around
good.
town. He does the Opry. He plays over at what's the Nashville bar behind Scoreboard over in Music Valley? I see him around there
Yes.
some.
Yeah, I can't think what that's called
Is it
now,
Music
but
City Bar and Grill, something like that, maybe? But
maybe.
anyway, Mo Pitney is a fantastic artist. You've seen him on the Grand Ole Opry probably before, but look him up if you hadn't. There's your music of the day. There's a good one there.
And
So
they're
you had
such
done
good
some of
people
that.
too.
Yeah, good people. I don't really know him well, but they are. He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah, they could not be all of them. The whole band, the family, everything. Yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
They're really great.
So you've done some of that. So now you're out on the road,
Mm-hmm.
and you're monitor tech for Justin Moore. So how this goes on for, and you're learning this stuff over, and we're
Mm-hmm.
touring hard and heavy during this time.
Mm-hmm.
This is leading up to 2020 when we get shut
Mm-hmm.
down. We go out on the road. And by then you've probably you're rocking by then. You've learned a lot from middle of 18 till we got shut down. I mean,
So much, yeah, yeah.
you could do it yourself if you needed to, obviously. And I'm sure Zach let you take over the desk from time to time and doing
Mm-hmm.
other things like you do to make sure everybody's on, can handle it. If something were to go down, you never know. If you have
Yeah,
to step
yeah.
away, somebody can step in. So then 2020, we get shut down. middle of, we're 8 shows into our tour. Got Tracy Lawrence and Lainey Wilson out playing with us. It's going to be a big tour. We got 3 buses. I mean, yeah, 3 buses, but 3 trucks, all this gear, all this stuff. We run these shows. It's rocking along, and here comes COVID. Screeching halt. We all get shut down.
Uncertainty. Yeah, no idea when it's coming back, or when it does, what it's going to look like.
No, yeah, we really just don't know. So everybody's kind of picking up other things. What did you do during the pandemic, job-wise? I mean, and not saying we were all just left, to fend for ourselves. Now, Justin paid us. We got money and things, and we were taken care of as best we could. But it's still, we're all sitting home. We're all go-getters too. I mean, I couldn't if I'd have had plenty of money, I wasn't going to just sit at home. I went out and got 3 jobs. But anyway, I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough that I was still picking up audio work. So I went out on a political campaign, which is I've never done that before. So we were doing that with the libertarian candidate that year, Joe Jorgensen.
Okay.
Which that was a lot of fun. That was
I bet.
Completely different than anything I'd done before. So I did a little bit of that. I did some like rehearsal stuff, like some bands were coming into some of the rehearsal spaces we have here in town, and just taking the time to reset their some bands don't carry a monitor engineer, they just carry a monitor rig, but they'll pay somebody to come in to get it set for them so they turn it on and it works,
Right.
So I did some of that. The biggest thing for me though was I got connected to Brett Blandon is his name. He goes by Scoop. He's longtime front of house for Lady A. So he had a studio at his house and saw the writing on the wall with COVID and flipped it very quickly to be a like a broadcast studio. So cameras and mix it down to like be on like these live stream types things. So he was doing really well with that, and he got busy and actually needed some help. So I got connected to him, and he brought me on, and now I'm kind of out of shop again. Only it's just me and Brett, And he also is such a phenomenal person all the way around. He is incredibly smart. He enjoys teaching. A lot of this was stuff that I hadn't had my hands on yet, so it was really fun to work with him in his studio. And we had a lot of work. Like he had lots of people coming in. We did a couple of like on location streaming stuff. Some of it was with Lady A. There was one that we got to do where I did monitors for a rock band out of Seattle, I think, that came here to record. Super, super fun. So yeah, he really kept me afloat, I would say, through COVID. And then
and we had a couple of renegade shows or outlaw shows, as I call them.
That's true.
Not many, but we would go out in the middle of Missouri or Arkansas or somewhere and play
whatever
field.
We could get.
Whatever we could.
Yeah, exactly.
Field, or go down to Florida and play some place or whatever.
Yeah, and then the other big thing through 2020 was started dating somebody.
Yeah, well, that's where I wanted. Yeah, well, that's where I wanted to get when we go into early 2021. I believe it is. It's early in 2021. You were talking about the setting up for live streaming, and for people who remember, a lot of times during the pandemic, a lot of outfits were doing live stream concerts, house show type things. Recording a concert basically and putting it out. No fans there, just recording stuff as live streaming, live or putting it out afterwards. A lot of it was live. Well, we decided to try to do something like that. We partnered with a company. I can't even remember. I should have had all this down, but we partnered with some cool companies that wanted to put on a live stream. Well, we should have known how it was during COVID and everything was still wonky. Well, we show up the first time, Justin's sick. His voice is just shot. I don't know if he had COVID or laryngitis or something, and he's usually, and he's usually not sick. Like, he does pretty good. He gets a little under the weather, but he usually soldiers through. I mean, this past weekend he was sick and he soldiered through. So, I've seen him play with the flu. He can usually get through it, but every now and then he'll get, just nothing you can do about it. And shout out and prayers to Cody Johnson. While I'm thinking about that, I don't want to forget to mention that Cody has had a bad sinus infection. He's been battling and actually ruptured an eardrum and has just canceled the rest of his tour this year to get surgery,
Bummer.
and hopefully he can come back next year full strength. So prayers to Brother Kojo.
Yeah,
Hated to
dang.
hear that. That's a tough one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that just
bummer.
heard last couple days. Yeah. And that's impossible. You can't. There's no way he can get through a show with a busted eardrum. I mean, that's just
No,
impossible.
no, it'd be, oh God, that'd be so painful for
Could you imagine?
lots of other reasons you couldn't do it, but that'd be very painful.
Yeah. So anyway, wanted to make sure I get that out. We love those folks over at Camp Kojo.
Yeah.
Prayers out to you guys and gals over there. So we're trying to do this live stream thing. We're doing it at this cool little spot in Tennessee, over on the west side of Nashville, out in the country. Beautiful spot. It's like a wedding type place and special events type place. It was super cool over by the river. So we finally get to where we're going to do the recording that day, and we're there that day. And Zach McCoy, our monitor engineer at the time, texts me or comes over to me during the day, says, "Hey, you and Justin got a second? He talked to y'all about something." And usually in my world, when somebody says that, that means they're on their way out the door, and we never like that. That is always something we try to avoid and just hate having to deal with, or, you know, it's just a bummer all the way around. It's just a tough something to deal with. So I get that info, and I'm like, oh, great. So I go tell Justin, I say, hey, man, Warhawk. We call him Warhawk. Zach McCoy, hey, Warhawk, bird of war. He's a machine. Love that guy. So from Minnesota, tie in with Minneapolis, Minnesota area. He's from the Great Lakes region. Hell of a fisherman. He's pretty good at everything he does, including
That's
picking.
incredibly true. Yep.
Including picking wives. We'll get to that. So I tell Justin, Zach, I said, Warhawk wants to talk to us today. He said, he said, you know about what? I said, no, he didn't say. He's like, God, surely he's not quitting. I was like, I hadn't heard nothing. I don't think so. So finally I put him off as long as I finally could. And then finally he comes on the bus and he goes, guys, just want to let y'all know that, and hope everybody's okay with it, that, Alyssa and I are dating. I was like, oh man, I thought you were quitting. And we're like, yeah, of course. Yeah. He's like, are you good with, are y'all good with, is that okay? We're like, yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. All right. So then go back to the first time y'all ever met. I was there that day and saw y'all actually shake hands for the first time at side stage at some big arena show somewhere. And I thought,
Dakota.
look at these two little Midwestern cutie patooties right here. I said that in my head. So fast forward to like that night, later on, I said, Warhawk, I said something about, I said, hey man, about the new monitor girl, huh? He goes, oh, and he's kind of blushed and flustered. I said, man, knock it off. We all know she's cute. You ain't got to be like that. What? But he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about it. I was like, that's all. But to me, that's all I needed to know. I was like, yep, noted down. One day, Alyssa and Zach will get married and be an awesome power couple. Noted. 2018. So when he comes and tells us that, we're like, yes, of course. Yes, it's the best thing we heard. Well, now we know we got both of y'all. We're locked in. It's like double job protection here now for us. We know we've got you locked in. So you give as much or as little details on all that as you want, but I'm assuming you thought he was a cutie pie when you first met him, because he is a stud, and he thought the same way about you. Y'all get to be buddies through work world, and you're both single. I mean, y'all probably had dated some people through here and there a little or whatever, but here comes pandemic, and we're all in Nashville, and you get to spend a lot more time together.
Yeah, so it had kind of fun, he and I just like talking about, so we toured to get together for about a year and a half before anything, like literally anything. There was never any flirting or like texting outside of work, like nothing like that. For about a year and a half.
And it's not in some camps, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I can imagine in some camps, and obviously some work situations, that's a no. You can't date people at work or whatever, but that's not anything in our world. It just, I could imagine, because I've never dated somebody I'm on the road with, but I could only imagine it. It's a tricky situation because you got to do the job.
You live together.
Like, and you can't mess up at work because you're distracted by something else,
Yeah, exactly. So, we started kind of talking outside of work at like, I don't know, maybe that like November before 2020, so 2019. And then we were talking a little more and then a little more. And then pretty soon as we're talking till 3 a.m, and,
He's like, you
Yeah,
want to come over and play some Space Invaders? You know,
I think we did. I mean, that's all we did is played video games while we were dating. That's all we
I
could do because we
and when
got together in
and then I remember
2020.
that early on too. Like something came up. Oh, she's a gamer too. I'm like, oh hell, this is a sealed deal. Zach might as well go and
Yeah.
get a ring. This is over because I knew he was.
So yeah, I think we both had. There was always the. I even told friends like I had this like work crush, but I wasn't. I wasn't putting a lot of weight into it. I didn't think he would have any interest in me, and he's so professional. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So it was just never on my radar at all that we would actually end up together. And then as we're like talking so much outside of work and it's actually turned into something, and like, okay, this might be an actual chance here. So we start like actually officially seeing each other and stuff in 2020, and we're having that conversation of like, this tour can be a little tricky because it's not like just working together. It's you are living together and you live together with other people, so you can't make your problems their problem. So, and we didn't want that to be in anybody else's head either, that like, oh great, so this could be a thing.
Yeah, and then also the thing, like if someone rubs you the wrong way, well then he's pissed at them too, or if somebody messes with him and then
Right.
you're pissed at them, or
Yeah. There was all kinds of scenarios that were going through our
Yeah.
head, just worst case scenarios, and
yeah,
so we were kind of decided like, all right, let's do this for 5-6 months. Then we'll tell everybody, because then it'll be like, see, it's been 6 months and you guys had no idea. Like this is gonna be okay. Well, a month and a half into that, COVID happened, and we never really got that opportunity. So
Right.
we dated secretly, really, for over a year, because it was that next February of 21 where we finally got to tell Justin, that day that you're talking about. And what was really funny about that day, Josh Cross, our old guitar player that used to be with us, he and I were hanging out that day, and I knew Zach was gearing, like just waiting for opportunity to go say something, and Josh and I are talking outside the venue, and he's like, me and Justin were talking about you today. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, he just had all these nice things to say about you. And I can't remember verbatim what he said, but everything he's saying, I'm like, oh no. He just had all these nice things to say, and I'm about to tell him that I'm dating my boss, essentially, out there. Like, so now I'm like really worried about how this is gonna go over. Like,
yeah,
he's gonna take back everything he said about me. And of course, in hindsight now, like everyone was just thrilled about it, and now we're married. So
yes, it was so awesome. So I'm sure that got a lot off y'all's chest. You're like, whew, all right, don't have to. Well, we really just start doing shows really after that. So once we started doing shows, it was everybody knew, and everything was just kosher. And y'all got to probably helped in hindsight that we started the way we did, slow, instead of just back to full speed touring, because that way you guys got to figure out the dating and being on the road together type thing.
yeah, and it really, especially once everybody knew, like we had already worked together for a year and a half, so there was just no weird
Right.
figure it out. We just went back to work.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one day, Derek, our lighting director, we were all sitting up in the front lounge, and Zach had his foot out in the aisle or something, and I just like kicked it, like just joking around. And Derek was like, huh, I think that's the most PDA I've ever seen out of you guys.
Yeah.
Because I kicked his foot.
That's funny.
So
Well,
yeah, we really
you guys
kept
are
work at work.
you right. Well, that's good. And you guys are both so pro. Y'all are both very professional. You mentioned that about Zach. Same thing. I remember early on, he and I became buddies quick. We were always just, good. We worked different schedules a lot of time. We didn't hang out that much, but he was one of my first friends over there one of the first people I remember meeting before I even got the gig. And, yeah, just always super nice and just polite and smiling and, this and that. Never really seen it because I didn't ride the same bus. Well, we did ride the bus for a while, I guess. But I guess it wasn't that long into it I learned. But for a couple of months there, I didn't know. And then one day we're loading the trailer or loading some stuff in the bays or something, and it's the last something, and he slams the door down, and he's got a Bud Heavy in his hand, I remember, and I really don't think I've ever even seen him drink much up to this point. He had a full Bud, red and white Bud Heavy in his hand, and he goes off on this rant about something and somebody and this, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I never knew this guy even had that in him. But I'm thinking, yeah, note to self, don't cross Warhawk. He is actually a Wolverine in disguise. But he didn't do it in front of anybody. It was just us around the bus. He would never saw him get too
Very
up or
calm,
down.
cool,
And he was always
collected.
one for like my role of trying to decipher information and figure things out internally. Cause a lot of times it's like, I'm the camp counselor. So when I needed to get something, I could go to Zach and be like, what's really happening with this? And he would tell me what's happening. Exactly. It wasn't, he didn't take sides. He was just, this is the facts, here it is. This is what, and I knew he wasn't going to be skewed by emotion or alcohol or anything else that can change your waver your reaction to things. Yeah, very logical and stuff. So then we get back out on the road, and you and Zach are dating. Everything's good. And we're back on the road for about a year maybe, and then you get an opportunity to go run your own desk, to be a lead monitor engineer for another artist in the country genre. Surprise. And obviously we did not want to lose you, but that is the next step. And if that job's not open for you to take over now or at some time frame, we figure out that, because a lot of times that's it. Like I took over for Joey. When he leaves, I'm going to take over for him. When so-and-so leaves, I'm going to take over for them. Or when they move to this position, I'll move into that position. Well, where we were, unless your now boyfriend leaves, there's not a move up, or Jeff leaves, there's not really a move up. So you get the opportunity to go do it for somebody else, and we're all about it. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but another one we were like, oh, really? Because I think you came and said, hey, you guys around, need to talk to y'all today, and I'm like, oh no. But you could tell us about that, and then that ties back into an earlier story. You get a call, I'm assuming probably from a manager or somebody in one of in the band.
Yeah, their production manager called me, and I was trying to remember today. I don't remember how he got sent to me. His name was Seth Houston, who's a front house for Riley Green now. But at the time, he's over here on Easton Corbin, who, that was like my first interaction at
with
the
country
beginning
music.
Of country. Yep, all the way back there.
And you get a call now to go run monitors for Easton Corbin. That would have had to have been, 10 years later?
Yeah.
Or 7 or 8 years? No, well.
Probably
What year did you graduate high school?
Like that. 2009. So, 2010, something like that. So, well, I guess so.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah, and then it came right back to Easton Corbin.
Wow.
But, he calls me up and is saying they're looking for somebody, and I don't remember how he got sent to me, because, like, we knew each other a little bit from crossing paths on the road. So he's telling me all about it, and really, besides wanting to kind of go have my own, like, this is my rig, and I'm the monitor engineer now. That's your next step. One of the big things was just being out on Justin, Jeff and Zach, who had been working together for 10 years at that point. Everything was buttoned down. Like, it was so rare that I ever saw anything go wrong. And Zach, through COVID, being who he is, he taught himself programming, like computer programming, coding. So I kind of knew he kind of had this new goal in mind, and that's what he was working towards. And well, if he leaves, what if they ask me to step in and I didn't feel ready? Like, I never saw bad things happen. So more than anything else, it was I needed to go get my butt kicked again for a while. So went and took a different gig.
And work with a different set of people, work with a new, see how other management and tour managers and artists, and just see how other camps, and meet some other people that you're going to meet touring with them, different places they play that we don't play, or vice versa.
Yep. So I just left to kind of go see if I could stand on my own 2 feet, I guess is the way to put that. And then I was with them for a year, and it was a crew of just three of us. Seth ended up getting the gig with Riley, so another guy stepped in for front of house. His name was Dennis, and he is with Red Clay Strays now, doing front of house. And Connor, the guitar tech, is with Cole Swindell. So it was just the three of us, the crew, and we had the most fun. Like the whole band, the whole crew, like we had so much fun out there, and it was great to just see how getting other dynamics and get into situations where I didn't have Jeff and Zach. I had my own team to figure things out with, and
a whole new band, and a whole new band to have to figure out their tendencies
again. Yeah. So I was there for about a year, and I learned a lot, had a lot of really good experience, and really enjoyed being out with them. And then came the time, it was almost exactly a year later, Zach got a full-time job offer to be off the road and full-time coding. So he was leaving, and I did not know what was going to happen with that. I was hoping that I would get asked to come back in some capacity, because like this camp is home,
Right.
I didn't know how that was going to go down. I never said anything to anybody. Like Zach and I were total agreement. Like we were kind of separate on this. Like, I don't want you talking to them. I'm not going to reach out to them. We're just going to let things happen how it happens, And thankfully when he did give his notice, then Justin asked him what I was up to.
Yes. Basically, we told him, you can quit if Alyssa can come back and take your job, basically is what we told him. Yes, you can quit if Alyssa will come back and take your spot, basically is how it went down.
Yeah, I was so happy to come back, and my first show back was the Grand Ole Opry, and we were all in they call it the family room backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and we were taking a big group photo, and everybody kind of disperses, and it's just Justin left, and he's standing there looking at me with his arms wide open, and went over and gave him a hug. He said, "You ready to come home?" I said, Yep, I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then now I'm back with our camp and our crew, and I've got it's such a good crew. Like, things are handled no matter what. Like, I have Carter with me, stage left and Monitor World, and he's handling playback and RF and any little thing that happens on the stage, so I can stay right where I am and focus on what I was hired to do, versus on smaller crews, you're wearing a lot of hats at once, which means if something's wrong on the stage, I have to abandon my spot. And if I abandon my spot and somebody needs something, like, you can't be in two places at once. So it's super valuable having people that can help you do the best you can do,
Right. Yeah, and usually the more hats you wear, the harder it is to get them all at 100%.
Yeah, you
level.
just can't. Yeah,
you can't. So usually you're afforded a little leeway if you're wearing a lot of hats and you can't get everything done, well, because it's impossible. But when it's specified down to one job or two jobs, you got to do those really well. That's like bigger camps. They got more people, and it's more specified. One person may only be in charge of the runners or catering or whatever, but or monitor, or one horn. I'm the horn tech for one horn. I got to make sure this one horn if that horn ever goes out of tune, you're in trouble, buddy. That's all you had to do.
You know exactly who's in trouble. It's one person.
Right. But if you've got to do every instrument, and you're stage manager and running monitors, well, yeah, you're probably, there's a good chance something
mistakes
at some point
are going to happen. Like, things are going to slip through the cracks. Like, yeah. Yep,
well, talking about being on the road with Easton. Easton had a female fiddle player out on the road, so that would have been the first time you got to go on the road with another female. I'm sure that was cool or different.
So it actually was the fiddle player, myself, the merch person, and I could swear there was one more out there at one point. It was just us, but anyway, there was three of us, like, which was
and it's not super uncommon. Once you're in the business, you look around and realize, because I know there's so many great tour managers and crew and stage people and players in bands that are female, but it's probably still tilted heavy towards guys, I would say. But there are a lot, especially in key roles. I mean, management, labels, all of that. You go up the chain now. and it's probably getting better as time goes on. But was there a point ever when you were trying to do all this that they pulled the old, well, girls don't do that, you know, guys can't cook, girls can't play ball, whatever the old adages were? Did anybody ever try to slow you down on that level for any reason, or give you a hard time because you were? Or I know you're such an ass kicker. I doubt anybody would, but
It's a question I get asked a lot because there's a lot of women, but not nearly as many as are men. Fortunately for me, it does not happen as often as a lot of people think that it would. There are things that happen. What I would get the most of was I was a production manager for a time with Easton as well. And what I would kind of get is like we're loading in and I've got the crew, the stagehands all around me, and it's 10 a.m. We're gonna start loading, and I'll have, one guy has to come and stand up with me and be like, you guys are all gonna listen to her, and you tell me if they're not listening to you, I'll whip them into shape. And it's like, okay, I got it. Like,
yeah,
they got it. I got it. Don't need you. Thank you. That happened probably more than anything else, was just kind of the little like
almost
like
you couldn't handle it on your
support.
own. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would happen. There's it's recent. It's really recent, so I'll be vague. But there was a situation where all of our team was on the stage, talking amongst ourselves just right after our sound check, and a guy came up and introduced himself by name individually to every single person, shook their hand, gave his name, went around to everybody, including interrupting the conversation that I was having to introduce himself, but didn't even look at me. Like, didn't introduce, like, completely just right over me, didn't acknowledge me in any way, shape, or form. And it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't bother me as much as maybe it should. I don't know. I just kind of let it roll off. It's kind of, it's a little funny. I notice. Like,
you're right.
And I'm going to remember that.
That's the thing. You just remember, because I know things, people try to big boy me early on and stuff. And I'm like, okay, lashing out's not going to solve it, get anything accomplished here. But I'll remember that, because in this business, you're going to meet everybody on the way up or on the way down. And like you said, it's a small world. It's even smaller in our business. And roles will be reversed at some point, more than likely.
It was funny, not funny, I guess, is later that night, then I was off stage talking with someone, and same dude comes up, interrupts our conversation to introduce himself to the guy I'm talking to. Nothing. Like, doesn't look at me, doesn't acknowledge me in any way. So there is stuff like that once in a while. Like, the truth of it is, like on our tour, for instance, I am the only woman out there, and there's a lot of times where I'm the only woman anywhere. There's 3 acts and there's none there, and it's not the stagehands, and 95% of the time I don't even notice. Like, if someone didn't say, it's never on my mind. Like, we just have such a good team to work with that it's very rare that it comes to my attention, Right. So I'm very fortunate that way.
And they're all like, I know, like, we're brother and sister. I'm sure, like, most everybody you've been on the crew with has always been that way. Y'all all do stuff together. You have fun. You do things together. Everybody has little tiffs with each other from time to time, like it happens in families. But I can imagine, though, that it's more like a brother. Like, you treat them all. You feel like you're all like older or younger brothers than, since you have one, especially you had a brother, so you know what it's like. You're like, yeah, it's the same crap my brother used to pull.
On each other,
knock it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And see, for me, it's always I think it's so cool, because I see the little girls and women in our audience looking and seeing you kick butt on stage and doing stuff, and then being in that role and seeing you side stage, even like the kids of like Justin's kids and other kids and family and people that are with us, side stage or guests of ours and stuff. I can just see them. They're like, and I know it's inspiring. It has to be, because it's heavy in guys, and those girls see you up there, looking like Laura Croft out of Tomb Raider, just taking down obstacles like they're going out of style and kicking butt, and everybody having to pay attention to you because you're in charge. And it just has to be inspiring. And I know it is because I see it, and I see the way, like I said, Justin's kids, either can I stand by Alyssa? You know, can we go over there? Does Alyssa have earplugs for us? They know you're in charge when we're around there, you know, and that, you know, they know you have a big role in their dad's company and, you know, how important you are to our organization. And I think the people in the audience see that as well. Do you ever think about anything like that, like inspiring the next generation?
You know, like I said, it kind of comes down to I'm not even noticing most of the time. So I guess it's not much on my radar, but I do. There was a time when I was out on Easton, the tour manager and the band leader, his daughter came out. I think she was like maybe 8 or 9, and she never said a word to me. She was pretty quiet, but she hung out in Monitor World, and I was just doing my thing, whatever. And then we did the show, and then the next bus call, Lauren was his name. He's like, "Did I send you that picture this week?" Yeah, no, what? And he said that his daughter, once they left, because it was actually a Nashville show. When they left, he said she couldn't ask enough questions about what you were doing, and she went home and she made her American Girl doll an Alyssa doll.
Oh,
Like made her a monitor engineer, like gave her like a little pass and dressed her all in black like me. And
that's awesome.
was making a console out of like cardboard and beads and stuff, and that like blew my mind because, like I said, it's not on my radar that anybody's looking at me for any reason.
Right.
And then, yeah, to your point, then there's a little kid, like, oh man, like that just blew my heart into a million pieces, you know?
Yeah.
So it is to have times when you come to that realization that there are little girls watching and seeing what you do and looking up to what you're doing. Like that is extremely cool. And
right.
There is an organization I want to mention. It's a nationwide, actually worldwide, I think, Sound Girls, which they have a Facebook page, and it's all women in the industry, and people can post questions and concerns, and it's just kind of a place for women to online gather. But there is a Nashville chapter of that, and it's ran by a woman, Kim Wheeler, who I've been kind of chasing around town since I got here. Like I've found myself working in a lot of the same places as her, and she is phenomenal at what she does. And she's actually whose spot I took on Easton. That's what I was trying to think of. The monitor engineer that I replaced out on Easton was also a woman.
Gotcha.
So that was pretty cool. But anyway, she once a month does a Nashville gathering for all Sound Girls, and I go whenever I can. And it's just a way to get women here in town all together. So
yeah.
For anybody listening or anybody who knows someone who's even just interested in the industry, then it's a great place to ask a lot of questions and talk with people who are in the industry. And yeah, it's a really good thing that she's doing right now. It's very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, and like I say, inside the industry, that's why I say maybe I see it more than the average person would, because I know, like, some of the best tour managers are females, and some of the best production managers and you know, managers and things like that. I mean, just I'm thinking about Angie. I mean, just one of the top Laney's Tia Meg now. I mean, just the highest level. Carrie Edwards, what she's done the last 20 years with Luke Bryant and Cole and everybody else. I mean, is just a powerhouse manager. You know, and setting that good example, and you do it just by nature because you just are so professional, like we talked about. It'd be different if you were, you know, doing your same job and we're all ratty and hungover, and you know had a cig hanging out of your lips the whole time, and you know, just chugging a bottle and screaming profanity left and right and looking frazzled. But no, you look like a pro. You look like a superhero taking care of. And I always said that you're like a superhero because
that always makes my day.
Yeah, well, I think we can tie this into that. And get on, because I know I want to take your whole day up, but I appreciate you spending the time with us today, and I'm sure everyone out there is loving this. But outside of the road work we do, one of your biggest hobbies and you and Zach both, is just doing some of the craziest things I can imagine. Y'all climb mountains. Y'all go to other countries to climb mountains. You hike and pack and sleep in these crazy places. You're a climber. Tell us how that all got started and the some of the stuff you've done with that and how that all got to be such a big part of what you enjoy doing. And that's part of the reason I say you're like a superhero, because y'all send us pictures and y'all are hanging off a mountain somewhere and I'm smiling, hey, and I'm just like, look at these guys. They're superheroes.
Yeah, well, backpacking has always kind of just been, I've just always enjoyed nature and hiking and being active, and that was something that really drew Zach and I together. We both have that in common. So yeah, backpacking. So everything's on your back. Everything you need to survive out there for the night is on your back. And
yeah, you don't carry anything else. You got
woods.
one backpack. I can remember you guys showing me. Zach was so happy one day because he had a new chair that weighed 3 ounces less than the chair he had before that. It cost twice as much money,
Yep.
but those 3 ounces he deemed it worth spending to get 3 ounces or something like that less. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I take that kind of seriously. I weigh like everything that goes into my pack.
Well, if that's all, I mean, you only have so much. You can't lug.
Yeah.
You're not and you don't want to leave anything behind. You can't leave any trash. You got to take everything in and out with you.
And there's a little bit of a challenge and maybe a little pride to that too, of what can you, what kind of comforts can you give up to get out where you're trying to get to and stuff. So yeah, we love doing that. And then rock climbing just kind of became, there's some indoor gyms here in town. And I wanted to work out, but lifting weights up and down was not fun to me at the time. It was too boring. So I started climbing at the gym, and I had some really good friends who climbed a lot. And then at the gym, so your rope is fixed at the top for how you learn. It's called top roping. So if I'm climbing up the wall and there's someone down below belaying, like managing the rope for me, paging, kind of, if you fall, you're not going to go anywhere. Like whatever the stretch of the rope is going to give you, that's it. You're not going to fall. So we do that at the gym, and then that was moving into, well, I guess it's just kind of how it goes for me. Like, okay, this is cool. This isn't it though.
This isn't it. What's next? This isn't. That's gonna be the name of this episode. This isn't it.
Yeah. So next is your next step is in lead climbing. So now you are not attached to anything above you. You're managing the rope below you and clipping into the wall as you go. So you climb up and you bring your rope, clip it in. Now you're attached here until you climb above that bolt. And the difference with that is when you fall, you're not only falling off the wall, but whatever slack is in the rope is coming out too, and however far above your bolt that you are, then you fall. So it can be a good like 14, 16 feet of just falling,
Wow.
So it's a little scarier.
I got a question about that. The bolts that you see them clipping off to, when you see somebody climbing a mountain, who's the first person to put those bolts in, and how hard is that?
Depends on where you go. Like here in Tennessee, I believe you have to be certified with a group. I forget what they're called. That agree together where a route can go, and you bolt that in with tools and stuff, and it needs to be checked every.
That's another thing I was going to ask.
and-
How confident are you when you're clipping on? Is like somebody checked this lately? Has this been here 40 years since the last time somebody tried? Do they ever come
on
loose?
Where you are. Oh yeah, definitely. Because in Utah's different. You can do it. You can go put a route anywhere you want to. I can. Anybody can. There's no
regulation board or governing body that
really
oversees any of that?
And somebody might correct me on that, but we were climbing there outside Zion, and that's what our guide was telling us, that just anybody can put a route up. So yeah, that's called sport climbing, is when there's not a rope, but there are bolts along the way and an anchor system at the top. So at the gym, you get to the top and you clip through 2 bigger clips at the very top, and now you can get lowered down. Then you untie and you bring a rope down. It's a little bit different outside when you're climbing. So, I wanted to lead climb next, and it was still COVID at that time. So the gym You could take a test. You have to take a test to like show that you know how to lead climb because there's quite a few more risks to it
Yeah.
for you and your partner. But they weren't offering any classes because COVID. So the only way I could learn was to go outside and learn how to do it, which is much riskier. But lucky for me, some really good friends of mine are very good rock climbers. So they took me out and they taught me how. And um, that really opened up a lot for climbing outside. And then Zach, he likes to climb in the gym. He does not like to climb outside very much, but he's a very good partner on the ground because he thinks everything through. You know, like he's checking the knots. He's watching my footing because you can do something called backstepping where the rope might be behind my heel and I don't realize it. So if I fall, then it's gonna flip me upside
Yeah.
down, you know.
No good.
So he's very vigilant on all of that. Of course he is, you know. So
Of course he is. Yes.
he's the perfect partner for on the ground. So I might have ruined him though because we went to Banff last year and went rock climbing there in the Canadian Rockies, and we were doing a 8 pitch multi-pitch route, which just means that you climb up to a point, bring all your rope up with you, climb up to the next point, bring all your rope up again. So I think it's like maybe 130 feet, maybe. I don't think he quite knew that's what we were into. Like that's what I had gotten us into, I guess is probably how he would say it. But we had a guide out there because it's just easier. They have all the gear and stuff, you know. So we get up to our second pitch there, and it's the guide is first, and then I came up next, and then Zach was bringing the gear up behind, and a storm blew in, like an actual storm, like thunder and rain and wind, and we're, you know, on the side of this cliff, and water's rushing down the rock, and Zach just happens to be at this part that was kind of the hardest part of the climb, like took the longest to get around, and water's just like pouring on his face and down his sleeves, and like I'm having a great time. Like that's a badge of honor to
Right.
me that we were safe, you know, safely and everything, but climbing in the Canadian Rockies through a storm. But he was pretty done after that.
Yeah, he was not enjoying it. He was like, I did not sign up for this. This is not safe.
Yeah,
This
no,
is not what
yeah.
we need to be doing. Risk reward does not balance out here.
So now he belays now. He doesn't
Yeah.
really climb up on the wall, and that's okay. It's
Right.
a good partner to have on the
Yeah,
ground for me.
you got to have the reinforcements from the ground. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys, when you got engaged, you guys were in Iceland or Greenland?
Iceland, yeah.
Iceland,
Mm-hmm.
watching the Northern Lights, and what was it called? It was the big one that year. The
Oh, I don't remember if that had a name.
was it just the Northern Lights, the Aurora, whatever?
The Aurora Borealis, yeah. As far as I know.
Because I remember y'all sent us the pictures and like so how did that go down? The proposal in Iceland.
Well, so that was his plan. We were going to see the Northern Lights, and he wanted to. We were going out with a company that takes you way out of town, and like they do all the photos for you and everything, so you don't have to try to bring a special camera, or a nicer camera, you know. So we went out with that group, but we didn't really see lights that night, and it was our first night in Iceland. And I remember he was pretty bummed, and I was like, you know, it's not a big deal. Like we knew we might not see him. Like it's all good, you know. And he's pretty bummed about it, and like, you know, we're here for 5 more days, whatever. Well, they weren't in the forecast at all. Like we weren't supposed to get to see them. So the next day, we went to I think it's a national park there, called like Thinglever or something. I don't know, very hard to pronounce. But we actually swam in between the tectonic plates of Europe and North America, in dry suits. It's like 34-degree water or something like
Wow.
that. So we swam through that day, and then we were driving down to the black sand beaches for the next day. And so had a really awesome day driving to the next destination, and we see from the side of the road there's a waterfall that's all lit up, and he's like, should we stop? Like, yeah, why not? So we stop at this waterfall, and it happens to be just us there, and it's like all this like pretty lighting, and there's ice at the top of it, and it's huge falls coming down, and um that's he had gotten the camera set up, which, oh, I guess that was the thing. He had been really into photography lately, and
Okay.
had taken all these pictures that I thought it was just all for the Northern Lights. So he had set up the camera to take a picture every second or something, and then took that opportunity to propose. I was very surprised. Um, Said yes, by the way. That
Yes,
wasn't
and he
clear.
had it set up, so you're thinking, oh, he's really into this photography thing.
He was, because he was practicing so much at night up leading up to the
Of
trip.
course
I
he
thought
was. He didn't want to
I
mess up.
totally clocked that. I thought that was like okay, I guess he's just really stoked for these lights. Um, so we go back to the hotel and have a really nice dinner. And in Iceland, you can ask for a Northern Lights wake up call essentially. So they'll call your room if the lights are there. So we weren't supposed to see them, but we were like, well, we might as well be on this list. And that night about midnight, we got a call. They're like, hey, the
Wow.
lights are visible if you want to go outside of town. So we did. We got up, got dressed, because it's Iceland and it's January and it's cold at midnight. So go outside of town, and it's just us. There's nobody else there. Mountains in the background, big white field um, covered in snow, and like the lights were so bright that we actually could see them with the naked eye. Because sometimes you can take a picture and see it there, but you can't actually see it with your eyes. But we could. So that was kind of our joke, that it was Mother Nature's engagement gift to us,
Yes.
as
I
we
mean, it
didn't see him
really is.
again.
What are the chances that it wasn't going to happen? So he sees this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity with the waterfall. He's like, well, this is my shot here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happens anyway. And then, so yeah, that's the pictures we got. We get these pictures of you guys
Yes,
swimming
yeah.
in the continental
Mm-hmm.
divide or whatever. We get, or the tectonic plates. We
Mm-hmm.
the I mean, it just looked amazing. And send me some of those pictures if you can find them. I'll put them
Yeah,
on.
it will.
I'll sync them into this, or hopefully Cody can sync them into the show. But
Yeah.
it's with all the greenery, and my first thought is, oh, that's great. But y'all please be careful. Don't watch where you step. Y'all don't end up in a crevasse somewhere or something
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But it was just spectacular, and that's
Mm-hmm.
pictures, and that doesn't do justice. I know.
I know, I know. It was very cool to get to have that moment together, and
Yeah.
then the rest of vacation was celebrating our
Celebrating
engagement.
engagement. Yeah, that's
We
awesome. That worked out
we were
perfect.
very, very busy, like in a great way. Like we
Yeah.
went through some like ice caves and stuff in the glaciers, and we hiked to the top of the world's largest glacier, and went to a couple different thermal spa places. Went to the Blue Lagoon, and it happened to be like their National Husband Day or something. So there was like a card there for him, and
Perfect.
it was just very, very fun and great way to get to celebrate.
Absolutely, yeah. And usually, like we've been wanting to go to the Grand Canyon, which I don't think we're going to get to go this
Mm.
year, but because it's one place Sharice hasn't been, and I've been with the crew once or twice. Once
Hmm.
really that I got to look around, and it's the same thing. You walk up, you can't watching these videos, and I'm like, yeah, it looks cool, but man, it's still nothing compared to standing there and
Hmm.
looking at it all
It's
at
it's
once.
hard to like actually fathom how big it really is. Like you
Pictures
think
don't
you
do it
have an
justice.
idea, yeah,
Yeah,
and then you're in front of it. And yeah, I was at the Grand Canyon one time with one of my best friends that lives there, lives in Arizona, and we were hiking just as far as we were going to be able to hike that day down and then come back up, and it was very, very cool. Well, it was annoying. We were kind of joking that it's like it would start pouring rain, so you got to stop and you get your backpack and get your raincoat out and get your jacket on, put your backpack back on, get it all situated. All right, let's go. And then 90 seconds later, it stops raining, and then it's bright and sunny and hot.
100
So then
degrees.
you got to
Yeah,
stop and do the whole thing over again. But so we got to see the Grand Canyon in like bright sunshine and dark black clouds, and like just sun coming through just little bitty spots, and like lightning striking through the canyon and stuff. Like
I bet that was so trippy.
it was so cool to see. Like and I always want to add, like, there's lightning's dangerous. Like it's
Yes,
really cool to see it in some places, but I
but
don't
it's
want anyone
scary
to think
too.
that we weren't aware. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I used to. I grew up on a lake, and it was like, man, yeah, it was wicked looking, but buddy, it was scary. Whoo, when that lightning pops.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been up in the mountains a time or two where especially in like Colorado where like 14ers weather is just finicky, afternoon storms are extremely common in the summer. So there's been a handful of times that we've been up at the top of whatever mountain we were doing and just in time for a storm to roll in. And there really is just nothing like hearing the thunder bounce off the mountains when you're up that high. And it's just like, oh, this is so cool. We got to go.
Yeah, yeah, this is gonna be awesome, but we're in danger. We got to go. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and those, we get to see some of that stuff, but it's usually just passing, and to take the time to actually go look is worth it. And I hope to see some of those. Hopefully, we can get to the Grand Canyon again. I know Sharice and I are going to try to take a trip next year and maybe drive up, but. Yeah, well, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I knew, like I said, those pictures, it just looked amazing. Obviously, I've never seen the Northern Lights, but I can only imagine being there in the ice and the white and the brightness with it glowing on everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool.
amazing. I thought about you earlier today. I was walking through my yard, and I saw a cool-looking little mushroom in my yard. And I always thought, Alyssa's always thinks mushrooms are cool. Not that you were a big hippie or anything like that, but you just think mushrooms are cool. And this time of the year, I'm seeing a bunch down here. I know is that something you've always been into, like in things like that, like mushrooms and outdoorsy? Well, I guess it follows in with the nature thing.
Yeah, and then growing up, back in Iowa, morel mushrooms are a thing up there. So as a kid, my brother and my dad and his friends would go mushroom hunting, and that's the kind of what you do back home. That time of the year is, and then even now with my friends that I'm older, then grab a couple beers and drive the gravel roads and find your, whoever's patch of timber that who owns it. They don't mind if you go in there and mushroom hunt. So it kind of started with morels, and then it kind of goes from there. It's like, well, morels are awesome. What else is out there? And then you kind of start learning more and more. And then, yeah, there's a lot of really good edible mushrooms. So it's fun, just kind of another part of being out there, and finding tasty mushrooms to take home and cook up, make with dinner,
Right, and there are a lot that are dangerous for you. And let's see, I did some mushroom hunting back in my high school and college days, but it was a little different. We didn't necessarily have permission, and there needed to be cows in the field, and we might have cooked these mushrooms some or dehydrated them. You didn't want to eat too many of them, though. I can tell you that. So I'd be careful. Anybody out there, bring an expert. And I've sent pictures to Alyssa before. It's like, is this edible? And she's like, no, it's really pretty, but don't eat it. It's super dangerous. You don't want to eat that. I was like, okay, good to know. I'm not a big mushroom guy anyway. I like them. I used to like those crazy kind, but now I like, if anything, I like I like them with stuff on them. I know Sharice likes the regular ones. My brother makes, hamburgers as mushrooms as the bun and stuff, but I like the little button caps with a little sausage or cream cheese or something in it, cooked on the grill, smoked a little bit. Ooh, I love those. But we just didn't grow up eating them really. They weren't in the house, and it's not something I ever really developed a taste for, but I like them. I like them that way. And I do think they're just super cool because they can pop up in such a short period of time. They're every color, shape, glow in the dark. I mean, just all kinds of cool stuff. Another fascinating layer to a very interesting person, Miss Alyssa Real McCoy.
You're making me sound very interesting. I appreciate that.
Well, this is I feel like I'm listening when you talk. I feel like I'm listening to a Joe Rogan episode. Then I have to remember, no, this is my show. Oh God, I'm not near as good as Joe, but no, you are an excellent guest. We're going to definitely have to do this again. But I have a little list of questions that I usually ask all of my guests. So if you want to, we'll run through that. First, though, before I go to that, I want to mention, I just realized this as you mentioned, it made me think of this, as you mentioned steel guitar earlier, and Easton Steel player showing you what a steel guitar was. But on this day in 1932, for all transparency, we're recording this on October 8th. But on October 8th in 1932, Pete Drake was born. And for people who don't know, Pete Drake was one of the early innovators and most prolific steel guitar players in Nashville and in music in general. The great Pete Drake was the first one ever known to use what people refer to now as a talk box, with his steel guitar.
Mhm.
He came out with was known as Pete Drake and the talking guitar or talking steel and or whispering steel. I can't remember what they said, but he would have the talk box in his mic and play his
Mhm.
steel, and that was a sound no one had heard of. That started that whole
Yeah.
thing before Peter Frampton, before any. That was
Mhm.
Pete Drake, and
On
did
his
that on some
steel.
recordings and stuff. Yep. So Pete
That's
Drake, the
cool.
great. Yep. Now you know a quick fact about a steel
Yes,
player,
I do.
the great Pete Drake. You can look up some videos. He was a cool guy. Had his guitar all painted up and cool. He was something else. I know like Eddie Dunlap and several of the steel players that I know in town. Spencer McCullum, Miranda Steel Player, a bunch of those. They really Pete Drake was one of the guys that they look at. You mentioned that they're like,
Sure.
oh, Pete Drake, oh, buddy, oh, he was
And they
something
can go
else.
on and on. Yeah.
Yeah, get them fired up, you know.
Yeah.
So wanted to mention that. But down to my questions. We'll do this one first. Is this the first podcast you've ever been a guest on?
Yeah. I was on one for a couple of roadies during COVID. Lots of roadies were doing podcasts, and I did one, but we were uh drinking and goofing around.
Oh, you got to send me the link to that. That's what I live for.
I
I got to
don't
hear
know if
that.
you ever posted it. Yeah, I'll have to find it.
All right. Yes, please do if you don't. Well, going to podcasts, then do you listen to podcasts?
Oh, all the time. All the
Good.
time.
Me
Mhm.
too. I probably listen to more podcasts than I do anything else these days. TV, radio, anything.
Same. Yeah,
What
just
are
have it in your ears while you're walking around. But
Yeah,
yeah.
certain ones I'll play. Like there's one, I listen to a morning one. It's like 10 minutes. I put it on. Usually when I get in the shower, I listen to that podcast. And then when
Hmm.
I'm driving, I got the list. Or if I'm on an airplane, or if an interesting topic pops up, I'm like, ooh, I got to know about that. That and
Hmm.
documentaries. What are some of your go-to pods? What are some of your most listened to that you listen to the most?
Well, this kind of is tying in my whole personality, but I like everything's scary. Like I love scary movies, scary books, scary
Oh,
games. That's kind of my thing. So there's a podcast called Scared to Death, and it's a
okay,
lot of like lore stories, I guess, about like a story might be about the legend of I don't know, Bell Witch, like up north here of town, you
right.
know. So it'd be kind of like where that lore came from and what those some of the stories of people's like quote unquote experiences were, and um at the end is usually listener call-ins about weird things that they've experienced and stuff. So I love anything
Have you
scary.
called in that show?
No, no, I never have.
You've got to call in. You got to come up with something to call in and talk to them about.
Yeah, I'll just talk to him about being a monitor engineer.
Yeah, it's so
You know?
scary, y'all. You wouldn't believe. I go to this gig. It's the fair back home, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't believe it. It was so scary when I saw the PA. Y'all wouldn't believe it. And then I saw our stew for the day and realized, oh, this is a horror movie for sure.
Yeah.
That guy has definitely killed people. Uh, so you're into horror movies, scary stuff in general?
Yeah, yeah. Everything's scary. And
Didn't know
um
that.
yeah, that's kind of my go-to for yeah, books or I like the tense, you know, like not gore. I don't like anything
Okay,
gory really, but like
like real situational that
tense
might could
and
happen. That could happen maybe.
maybe I'm open to all the supernatural stuff
Yeah,
too.
right.
But
Some of that's
yeah, all that
real. We
stuff.
know it is.
And the um we've always joked that I guess I just really love stress. I became a monitor engineer. I love scary movies. Even my nightmares are like I'll wake up and be like, oh, I gotta tell you about this. It was so scary. Like it was
And
awesome,
you
you know,
love
but it
it.
was
You
so
love it.
good.
Yeah,
Rock climbing and I guess I just like stress.
I guess so. So this is the good big time of year for you. You're a big Halloween fan, then I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we've been playing we started the new Silent Hill. Well, there's a Silent Hill 2 remake, which everyone who's played it has just said it's the scariest game they've ever played. So we're just kind of right in the beginning of that, to playing scary games this time of year, and then yeah, we'll watch scary movies, and but that's just kind of year round for me. There's just more
Yeah.
content available
I
this
would
time
have
of year.
I would fall out. I play games. I get scared anytime anything happens in one of my games. I'm playing God
Oh
of
yeah,
War right
they're
now, and that's
terrifying.
scary enough for me. And it's not even a horror movie. It's just like, oh, there's a big beast. Oh, he's got him with his
Yeah,
axe. Oh,
it is so much scarier when you have the controls. Like,
oh, I bet. And that go and you've got a wonderful setup there. You know, your
yes,
studio
yeah,
looks great, and I know. If you turn the camera around, you've guys got a sick setup. I've said you guys inspired me to go with my Philips Hue setup that I've got in my
oh
house.
man, yeah, that's
Um,
literal game changer.
yes, and Zach was the one that I talked to about the Govee versus the
Mm,
Hue and all that early on
mm-hmm.
because you guys sent us a video. Y'all had a table made for your
He
gaming
made it.
table. He made it himself. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
right.
He
He
made that
made the
for me
table.
for Christmas, the river table. Yeah.
Yes, it's an acrylic,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish I had a picture of this. It's a acrylic table. It looks like a river runs through it with the lights going through it. It's just sick. And he's got
Yeah,
the
so
whole
pretty.
gaming setup synced with that and the lights. So whatever's on the screen is the lights are flashing, and if there's a lightning flash back here, it pops over here. I
Yep.
mean, it's like it's an immersive gaming light production that you're in when you're playing, and that's the first
Mm-hmm.
time I ever saw it. Now I have a much smaller, much not near as elaborate setup in my living room.
It's a lot
um,
of fun.
it's amazing. I'm now on the Amazon days. I'm looking when are these going on sale because
I know.
the Hue 7. I'm using the Hue the 75 um, TV light strip is on sale now, so
Mm-hmm.
I got to do it. I've
Nice.
been because I
Good
got
to
a new
know. Good to know.
TV and my old 60 inch is not big enough for my new. I've got a big 80 something inch TV now.
Mm.
So I couldn't use my old lights, but they made my smaller TV look huge. So now when I get this big one, it's going to look even bigger. It's like a movie in there, I hope. So I took it and used
Nice.
the old one somewhere else, but I need one for my TV. So I don't have any right now. I don't have any play to where it's interacting with the lights. Now I have the lights on or off, but they're not,
Sure,
going,
sure.
they're not, they're
Yeah.
syncing. I don't have the sync connected. But I'm watching them go on sale because all that stuff's kind of expensive too. It's an
It is
expensive
very
hobby
expensive, yeah.
to
So the
get
new
into.
house here, we're still in that process because this is actually just Zach's office. There's a whole other gaming setup in a different
I
room. So
forget
we
about
kind of
that.
have
You guys got a
dual,
new
yeah.
house in the last year or so too, so
Mm-hmm.
that y'all have got even
Mm-hmm.
more room. I bet you do have a sick setup now.
Yes, yes, we do. But yeah, the hue lights come slowly because we need more of them now. And yeah, they're very expensive. They're worth it, but yeah, they're
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, they're so cool. Well, that's interesting to know. Yeah, did not know you were a scary horror into all that stuff. So good to know. And Halloween's your favorite holiday. I see. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that, but good to know. This could fall into scary. We could use. I usually do favorite venue or city, but what's the most scary venue or city to go
Mm.
to?
Oh man.
Or what's your favorite and what's the most scary? They're probably the same.
Okay. Well, for scary, I mean the rave
Milwaukee.
in
Yeah.
Milwaukee is pretty cool because that whole building has like a whole you can look it up like there's a whole long mob history to it and they'll take actually I don't think they do it anymore. Do they
And
take you
just the
down to
fact
the boiler room now or the pool room?
pool, yeah, they still take bands and people down.
They
They
do.
may even do
Okay.
tours. Well, just the building itself's over 100 years old. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge, this big, just gothic, heavy concrete, just heavy duty old school building in Milwaukee that
Yeah,
multi
it's
floors.
such a cool place. The
Yeah.
green room is super fun, like fun and yeah, we were doing a show at the top floor and at the bottom floor there was a heavy metal show.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
that's
that's
right.
a
Last
very
time.
very cool place.
It's
Very
huge. It's sprawling, and
yeah.
there's back rooms
Hmm.
and tunnels and things you don't know about, and God knows what's on in there 100 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah. So
and then
I think that one it's kind of a pain to do a show in because
yeah,
it's historic and
yeah.
it's hard to get things up and down, but
And the huge
it's a cool
Olympic-sized
space.
swimming pool in the
Hmm.
in one of the basement floors. I mean, like y'all, a for real full-size Olympic swimming pool in the basement of this place, and it never has water in it. So it's just like it's even more
Yeah,
eerie
it's
and
like fully
scary.
abandoned
Yeah.
and the lights are super dim down there and like
Yes.
yeah, it's very spooky, which makes it very fun to go down
Yes,
there.
for sure. What about favorite city or venue to play? I'm sure
Uh
home, so you can see the
yeah, I was
fam.
gonna say yeah, pretty much any in Iowa or Iowa surrounding. It was very cool to do. We did a show last year with Cody Johnson at the Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. that was very cool to me because not only did I have lots of friends and family that came to that show, but that's where I went to shows, you know. So
Yeah.
that's where I was a kid wanting to be that front of house person, you know, going to
And it's got
shows
to be a
there.
lot better to do those as direct support rather than being the headliner. You
Absolutely.
get
Yeah.
so much more free time and so
Mhm.
much less stress. You're not in charge of the stage and the gear as much. They tell you when
Mhm.
and where they need you. Oh, direct support's the
And
jam. I can't
it's a
wait to
very
do a
cush.
bunch of shows with Riley next year, and I'm like, ooh, it's
Mhm.
not a vacation necessarily, but it's like a half work day.
It kind of is,
It
yeah,
kind of
like
is. It's a lot better than
comparatively,
doing it all on your own.
especially the for the summer season, right? It really is exhausting out there, you
Yes.
know. So to have that nice, easy slot, like, yeah, we're all looking forward to that.
Yes, yes, for sure. All right, so home, we'll put home for favorite place because that's usually everybody's. And everybody says
Yeah,
like a lot of people will say like Red Rocks because it is beautiful.
I haven't got
Um,
to see that one yet.
and
I'm
then the
hoping to.
Gorge,
Yeah, I
um,
haven't seen that one either, but
and the
everyone talks about
Ryman.
it.
You
Yeah.
know, the Ryman's obviously cool because of the history there, and it's just a beautiful
Hmm.
building. You know, but I think the Opry House is that way too. It's been around a while too, and man, it's just
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's
cool.
true.
And
And
it's
that's an easygoing gig too when you're there.
and
It's
when
like,
it's that's what I was going to say. The way they have it
mhm,
set up, and they have a ton of green rooms and dressing rooms and
mhm.
space for people, and they're used to it. And it's just they welcome you and you come in. It's just that's one of my favorites there. Um, we talked about some of these throughout the show, but mentors. Who would you say would be your mentor or a tour buddy that helped you along? I guess I mean you kind of said Zach probably as much as anybody, huh?
Yeah, he really was. Like I said, it was a year and a half of just touring together, and it he always had reasons for everything he was doing and was always very calm about how he was doing things, and I never felt like I was going to bring a question to him that he was going to make me feel like was stupid, you know, like so I had a lot of respect for how he did the job, and yeah, looked up to that a lot, and honestly still do. Like even as his wife now, with he's in a completely different career, I still admire how he works, and he's always looking to do better, and I've always tried to take that with me. um but yeah, lots of I said Scoop was really really good to me through COVID, and it was very helpful to have him, and Jeff's been really good to me all these years, and um Kim Wheeler that I mentioned, that runs the Sound Girls. She's like an obvious one to look up to. I think like she is so good at what she does, and I have just coincidentally kind of followed her around town, like so. Yeah, she's very good. But those those are probably the main ones. But there's really um, kind of everybody we're surrounded with. Like there's always something you can learn from everyone. Like, I mean, Paul, like his demeanor and stage managing, like I'm watching him very closely, and I think he handles his job very well. And like Carter always has you can be in the worst mood you thought possible, and he can flip it around on you, you
He
know,
just
like,
flops up there. I call him String Bean. He just flops up
yep.
there with some look on his face. Well, how are we today, bud? Or something. Just he'll just
Hmm.
say something. I'm like you said. I'm like I'm better now. Whatever I was mad about, it's okay.
Yeah, and him and Chase both, like they both just are just happy to be there all the time,
Yeah,
and you can be in a bad mood and you can look in that at that and be like, yeah, you know what, it's not that bad. Like,
yeah. And then the opposite of that is when you see people who are being jerks and not you learn what not to do. Also, you see how somebody's interacting
exactly.
or somebody way
Hmm.
that somebody carries themselves or does something. You're like, note to self: never do jackass move number 4 that dude and
Exactly.
so did, but he works for so and I don't know how, but God, what a jerk,
Just
or
like we
whatever.
said, we remember that,
Yep.
and that you don't want to be the one remembered for
Mm-mm.
that because they
It,
will.
it always comes out. I remember a long time ago, I was with John Party and we were playing a show in Council Bluffs, Iowa, of all places, at the Harris
Mm.
Casino, opening for a big country act. And I go up to the tour manager and I tell him who we are, and we'd been playing for a while. I mean, we've been working for a long time. John's getting a little heat at this point, and we weren't just no local, not nobodies, but we weren't just a local band filling in the thing. We were booked to do the show. We're getting paid. And I go to him and I tell him, this and that. I was like, do we need credentials? Do you want to use ours? And he's like, I'll give you our credentials. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking we're getting some guest laminates or some satins or something, stickers, something. Well, he gives us these like polka dot, rainbow, turtle, frog, unicorn, some kind of little wristbands to wear, like you would get like if you were to, for beer wristbands or something. And that's what he gives us. And I'm just like, all right, buddy, I appreciate that. And at the time, this guy's still one of my favorite acts. He's a big act and 90s, early 2000s, but still gigging. I mean, rock and roll country guy. And I'm thinking, really, and it had nothing to do with the act, because I'm sure he didn't know his tour manager was doing this. But I thought in my head, I was like, that's a real crap move to do for us. I'm sure we're going to do another show together at some point. But anyway, I logged that back in my memory book. And fast forward to I saw that artist again, years later, and I said, hey, you still got old so-and-so working for you? He goes, no, man, we had to let him go. He rubbed too many people the wrong way, blah, 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 something like that. And I was like,
happens.
I was like, yep, imagine that. I knew that day that this was going to come.
People hear about that. Yep. Other tours hear about that.
Yep, and he don't have a job anymore, or if so, it's not the one he wanted, for sure. All right, so next on my list here is, we'll do this one first and then we'll do that one. All right, so usually I have to ask my guests their birthday because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know yours because I help book your travel sometimes. And
I type it in all the time.
Yeah, I've got a copy of your passport. I will never divulge any of that information, y'all. So I don't need to ask your birthday, but this part of this segment of my questions I do is called Birthday Number One. It's the number one song in country music on the day that you were born.
Okay.
So we're going back here to July 3rd, 1991. What a year it was. Oh, Iowa, beautiful day in Iowa. It's summertime. Nobody's got the blues. Todd and Cindy are leaving the hospital. Brand new baby Alyssa, swaddled up, smiling, having fun, rocking out in her head, thinking, yeah, I'm going to be a rock star one day. I'm going to be a lead monitor engineer. I'm going to climb mountains. I'm going to be an audio engineer. Watch, So you're driving home, dad's truck, beautiful day. Crank up the radio, listen to some tunes. You're being quiet. You're not whining. You're just happy little baby. They turn up the radio, and Lon Helton comes on and says, today, number one song in country music is, who do you think it was? And I know you said country wasn't really you didn't grow up listening to a lot of country, wasn't really your genre, but this is I
should know this one.
This would be a good, and it's got such a crazy tie-in. I can't wait to say it. I'm bubbling. Can't wait to say this tie-in because I don't know these before we do this. I just saw this. But, yeah, it's one of the biggest country stars of all time and ruled that era for sure.
Okay, how about Alan Jackson?
That's a good guess, but is not Mr. AJ. This guy also does wear a hat. He's had some controversy from time to time. He's had some alter egos. He's wore a little skinny microphone like this under his cowboy hat at one point that he ripped off Chris Ledoux on, which is fine. You can take stuff from other people. I'm not hating on him for that. He was a guy.
He does that, doesn't he?
Hey, Garth Brooks, or as he goes by now, the artist formerly known as G. And the song, do you know much of his catalog? Do you know Garth songs?
He's definitely one of those, like, to name them, no. But if you name them, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I know that song. All
right. Well, this song, you actually said the name of this song earlier when we were talking about the Grand Canyon. And as soon as you said that, this song played, because like I'm a weirdo. Like anytime somebody says something in conversation, I relate to where I heard that in a lyric or a song thing. So when you said that, this song went, and the thunder rolls. The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks.
I do know that one.
And how crazy is that? You said the thunder rolling was so beautiful and so scary and serene in the Grand Canyon. And then my head went, and the thunder rolls. And then that was the one.
That's funny.
So now... if you've got a fun fact for anybody, hey, you know what the number one song was in country music the day I was born? Garth Brooks and the Thunder Rolls. So if you don't get out of my face, I'm about to roll my thunder right over your ass. So knock it off, kiddo.
That's a good tagline. I kind of like that.
Yeah, you can play with it somewhere. It's got a good one in there somewhere. Well, there it is. Garth Brooks, The Thunder Rolls is Alyssa's number one birthday song. Next one I've got is I usually do big number because a lot of times as tour managers, we end up with all these crazy numbers from people we know. So you can do a number, or I also thought someone that you got to meet that you admired doing your job that you thought as a little girl, you were like, there's no way I'll ever meet this person or be standing there talking to so-and-so or have this person's number or email or something. You had any of those moments?
Yeah, so working at the shop, they have like the bands will store their gear there as well, so everyone kind of has their own slot. And when I started there, the Wood Brothers are a client there, and I love the Wood Brothers, and I was very excited that they were a client here, and I had gone to lots of their shows up in Minneapolis and stuff, and then got to I think my boss at the shop, they were going to do rehearsals, so he knew I was a big fan, and I would keep my cool, but a big fan. So he assigned me to their rehearsals. So I got to like meet them and hang out with them, and then they just turned out to be like the nicest people. Like they were phenomenal. They would help unload their trailer and stuff with you. Oliver Wood, who's the lead guy there, during the pandemic, he was personally texting me like resources for people in the industry and stuff to like help get them by and stuff. Like they're just the nicest freaking people. So that was really, really fun for me to get to not only meet them but have them be such wonderful people that were looking out for me at the end of the day.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I was talking. That's kind of like me being friends with Diamond Dallas Page now. I'm like, how am I friends with DDP? I mean, I grew up watching him wrestle. I loved him wrestling, and now he's that. And it's like you're like at this concert as a teenager. You're like, man, I love this band. Then one day you're like, hey, I'm friends with this band.
We exchange numbers.
Yeah,
like run into them at the climbing gym and stuff. Like, yeah,
that's so awesome.
That's the first one that comes to mind. Lots of the country folk that we've met, though, there's very few run-ins with actual artists that are not positive. Like there's a lot of really nice people, down to earth, like Justin's a very normal dude, like very down to earth.
He really is. As much as anybody I've ever met in the business. I mean, still lives in his little town of 300 people, kids, school, ball coach, all that stuff. Not really that artsy, you would say, as you would think just a lot of artists are. Yeah, just a regular guy. Can sing really good. Likes country music.
Yeah, regular guy can sing really well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always say. He's just a regular dude. He just sing really good. Well, that's exactly what I was looking for. And, because it's one thing, and especially since they were awesome to you, because there's the opposite of that. Sometimes they're not. And usually
don't meet your heroes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and in our business though, you're right. Most of the time, everybody is super cool. There's basically the big three, and I'm not going to name them, and I never will.
Yeah,
there's and there's a list of people who are historically hard to work for. I know there's I'm on a tour manager text thread, and there's also a crew text group deal that a lot of production managers are on. And there's, when certain artists come through looking for positions, it's like, oh, who's going to take that one? Who wants to do that? Nobody, so it gets, there's not that many of them, but there are some that are like historically tough. And then, it'd be a tough gig to work, but somebody's got to do the gig, and somebody's doing those gigs currently, and somebody's booking those artists, and they're playing and they're doing their antics, and somebody's going to book them again, which blows my mind. But
I know that drives me nuts too. Just, yeah, but that's those people, because it is always the same people over and over again. Because I'm also in an audio engineering thread, and they'll come through, need monitor engineers or front of house engineers or whatever, and no one wants it. So you have a lot of turnover with those gigs, which is in a live environment. That's hard to have a lot of turnover because there's just so many variables and learning and getting along with people that you got to do. And the flip side of that is Justin keeps people for years and years and years because he's such a nice person to work for.
Yep.
He's he cares very much about his band and crew and our well-being, and is appreciative of what everybody does and wants us to know that. And that's right. You don't get that a whole lot.
I know, and
out
a
of the
lot.
way.
Right, a lot do, and then some that don't. Like, and you'll notice that's why you usually have a lot of turnover. And you think, man, that makes it tough because it makes more sense. And Justin and I've talked about this to try to keep everybody because, like you said, until you're in that groove, having a new somebody that doesn't know your tendencies. To me, I would think as important it is for an artist to be with his management. If he's playing a lot of live shows, he needs to be just as locked in with his production manager, or
Yeah.
it's never going to be as good as it could be. And I know a lot of times now, unfortunately, we know this because we talk about it. A lot of the audiences don't even really care or notice or know to care when stuff's not right. But
Yeah.
but you can, if you know music, you know something's not right. You know it doesn't sound right or doesn't look right, or that's the easy way to get out of it. It's not as good as it could be, and that's usually why. It's usually for somebody,
Someone's on a learning curve.
and then you've
And
got to
the more
rotate
you
in
have to
and
go through
out,
that.
and nobody wants those gigs, so you get the people who are not the best at doing those gigs. So it's just to me, it's a race to the bottom when you start trying to go that route. And
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Sometimes you just have to have to scale down or scale up for whatever kind of shows you have coming up. And scaling down is not a bad thing, but you got to take care of the ones you do have there so they can. You better hope you got some badasses, or it's not going to be great, But yeah, one day maybe I'll release the big three or the.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The ones that everybody, and it ain't just us, because every promoter I talk to, anybody anywhere in the business, you talk to them, I'll say, "What's your top 3 people that are historically and have issues?" And they'll name them. Like, yep,
Everybody's got a story.
Same 3, yep. So lastly, I'll end it with this because this is usually where we end the show. Your Mount Rushmore of music, and it doesn't have to be country music because you said you weren't huge into country, but just your Mount Rushmore of music. What does Alyssa like, and what would be her top 4 with one honorable mention?
Okay, let me think about that. The Never Gets Old is kind of that late 70s genre, like Led Zeppelin. Actually, no, number 1 slot is the Doors. Never, ever, 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 ever gonna get tired of the Doors. I love them so much. Yeah, they're probably gonna take that number 1 slot. I'll put the Beatles up there. They're on a heavy rotation. And then Zeppelin. Trying to think if there's any like modern or later down the road. There is a comedy band that I love probably more than anything, but I don't think I can say their name on your podcast, so I'll tell you that one later.
All right. What about,
but a comedy band?
I know y'all saw Weird Al the other week and said he was really good.
Yeah, that was so fun. Yeah, man. Anybody listening whenever this comes out, if he's still on tour, I would hit it up. It was a ton of fun. He did not stop. Like, it was a show. Yeah, comedy is probably the honorable mention genre.
Okay.
It's just
We'll
something different to listen
Is
to.
there?
Yeah.
Can you give us the initials of the comedy outfit?
Yeah, they go by NSP, and they
NSP.
are bunch of nerds, just a goofy band.
But it's fun.
They're very, very fun. Yeah.
I love it. All right, so we got one more spot. We've got the Doors, the Beatles, and Led Zeppelin, 3 huge iconic bands.
Let me think. I cycle through a lot of stuff. Those are the ones that I just kind of keep coming back. I probably have to put Pink Floyd there. There's a big Pink Floyd category, or not category, what was I trying to say?
You listen to a lot of Pink
I lost
Floyd.
my train of thought.
Never
but
get
yeah,
old. Never get tired of Pink Floyd.
it takes up a big chunk of my library shuffle, I guess.
I love it. Well, you can't go wrong with them. I've definitely listened. Well, that goes back. No wonder you like mushrooms. You like Pink Floyd mushrooms.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I kid. What song did you and Zach dance to? What was your first dance song?
Our first dance song was really hard for us to find something. The songs that were more for us was when he was going down the aisle and like seating his mom and stuff. He was playing. It was like a nice like piano version of a Guns N' Roses song, because that's
Nice.
he wanted to put Guns N' Roses somewhere, so that was kind of like the nice music. And then I walked down the aisle to a Led Zeppelin song, which I always said I was gonna do like since forever, and it was a Liz Wright version of "Thank You," so a little prettier
Yeah.
than Led Zeppelin. So those were kind of the songs for us. And then our first dance song was a girl named Taylor Acorn, who neither of us had ever heard of before. We just kind of found her on Apple Music, and it was a really pretty version of a Blink 182 song, which is not us at all. It was just fitting for the moment.
But it worked.
Yeah, yeah. And then I danced with my dad to a Paul Simon song. I forget what his mom's was. Yeah, our first dance was kind of the only one that we weren't super attached to. We were just like, it just fits for the moment. We didn't really want to do the first. We are not spotlight people.
Right.
Like we're off the stage, you know. So it was just kind of a quick. I think we made it like 90 seconds, like cut it down or something like that.
All right, that's it. Everybody else get back there. We're going to go make sure that everything sounds good in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Well, that's good stuff. Well, I won't take up any more of your time today. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been
One
fun.
of my favorite interviews or conversations we've had. I hate calling it interviews. Conversations we've had on here on the JR the Handler Show so far. I thank you for your time. How can everybody find you on socials? You on Instagram, X, any of that?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I'm not very active on any of them, but I think it's just Alyssa the Real McCoy. But I would encourage people to go check out Sound Girls Nashville chapter and see what those events are going on. And then if they know someone who's looking for somewhere to get started, then they know where to point them.
I love it. Great info there. Yeah, and we have to have you. I know this has been a long episode, but we'll have to come back on because we didn't even really get into any of the stories about some of the crazy, goofy stuff that goes on the road, like the things that we've all been around for over the years, and shenanigans and things we've done at different places. But like I said early on, starting this podcast, this first couple of dozen episodes will be just basically introducing everybody to the characters in the story, and then we'll come back in and dive farther into some of these adventures we've had. Well, again, my guest today has been the real one, Alyssa McCoy. Thank you so much, sis. It was good to see you, and I guess
fun.
I'll see you in Waco.
Yes, I'll see you in Waco.
All right. Sounds like a song.
Yeah, I know. I was actually just thinking that as I said it.
Yeah, there's Charlie Crockett had the song "The Man from Waco," but I don't know if there's. I need to see if there's any other songs about Waco. But we'll see you there. Safe travels. Thank you as always.
You too.
Tell Warhawk we said hello, and thanks for letting us use his office today.
Yeah.
And great setup. And we'll after a couple months down the road, we'll come back and do it again.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been fun.
All right, cool. We'll see you in Waco.
All right, see you later.
All right, everybody. How cool was that? I hope everyone enjoyed Alyssa telling her story, getting to where she's at today as a lead monitor engineer in country music for Justin Moore. Just a rock star of a person. Like I said, she's a superhero because she handles everything and she does it usually with a smile. And just happy for her and Zach, and glad to know her. What a cool person. And I hope that everyone out there enjoyed, her story and path to get there, and how interesting that was, and how you can really come from a town of 1,100 people in Iowa and end up following your dreams, getting to meet your favorite band and work and all that fun stuff. I'm going to get out of here today. I know there's been all kinds of things on social media and stuff I probably should comment on. Maybe I'll do that at some point. And I've got some great voicemails saved up from the 424 handler line. I'm going to use all those in an episode once I get off the road and can really put it all together in a sharp way. But continue to do that. If you got questions or comments for the show, you can always hit me up on Instagram at JR the Handler, Twitter at JR the Handler. You can call the phone line 424 handler. That's 424 handler. Call, leave a voicemail. I really need everyone to do me a favor and go to Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you listen or watch this podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, go to one of the podcast apps, or if you're listening to it on a podcast at some point, go to the YouTube and find the show and hit the like and rate the show if you don't mind. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. It really helps the show. And this time of the year, I'm going to make a push to try to get those algorithms up so I can get in more people's ears and we can share these stories a little farther, spreading the love. So, again, if you don't mind, go like, rate, and subscribe to the JR the Handler Show and share it with a friend. Hit the share button. That would do the most help. Share it with someone you think would be interested in some of these things that go on the road in country music and just behind the scenes in general. Thank you in advance for doing that. I'm going to read this week's installment of the Charlie Daniels Let's All Make the Day Count book. This one's number 13. How bad do you want it? Diligent hands will rule. Proverbs 12:24. Do we get back what we put out? Absolutely. Sometimes we look at a successful people and wonder, why them? Why not me? Why should they have all the luck? Actually, luck has very little to do with it. We are usually looking at the tip of a very large iceberg. This years of hard work and sacrifice are hidden below the waterline. Usually, he or she is the first one to get there and the last one to leave. They have a let me do it, go the extra mile, burn the midnight oil, and never give up attitude applied to endless hours of extra effort that separates the successful from the rest. The athletes we admire have spent their lives in arduous physical training. The musicians we love to hear have spent countless hours playing scales and practicing on their instruments. Eugene Forder, one of the world's finest classical violinists, told me that he was playing concerts he practiced 6 hours a day. Stevie Ray Vaughan played his guitar until his fingertips began to shred, applying some liquid skin, and continued to practice until he was the premier blues guitar player of his generation. Everything comes with a price. There's an old saying, if you want to run with the big dogs, you've got to get off the porch. Success is shaped like a pyramid with a lot of room at the bottom, but the closer to the top you get, the smaller it gets. Let's all make the day count.